I call to order the work session of the Hillsboro School District Board of Directors at 5:50. First item is well, this is a fun way to start. I feel like our work session because summer programming is always great. Those who are able to also come and visit our programs this summer, and thank you to everyone who supported funding to make summer programs happen. So thank you all around. We're going to start with hold please, here we go. Okay, so for over 2,500 students this summer, and for each of the summer programs, our continued process of no value harvest and good teachers. In addition, connected to one or more of our strategic plan goals, each of the programs anchor themselves to. Here's an overview of the fast facts of our program. And in your board package, there was an overview that was attached of all of our summer programs, including all the tonight, and then in addition, the funding source that made each of our programs. We'll start with bilingual enrichment program. How students were selected was students who qualify for migrant services to 11th grade, students who qualify for English language services, which are newcomers, ELD levels 1 and 2, dual language students who need more Spanish instruction. All those students were prioritized, and then also based on low attendance and that scored below grade level. So staff went through all of those data points and then sent out invitations to our students. Some of you saw it, our BEP program. This has been one of our anchoring programs for a long amount of time. And also, this program was one of the programs that was funded through that summer learning money. The advocacy of that made this bilingual enrichment program happen. Okay, high school credit attainment. So each 6 of our high school programs had credit attainment on site this summer, including bilingual enrichment program also had credit attainment for students as well that was embedded. This one also was funded by the summer learning dollars that came from some advocacy and target action, so thank you again. How students were selected were high schools and alternative programs pulled reports on all of our students, rising 10 through 12 plus grade students who currently had a grade of an F or an I on their transcripts in any core class. All of these students received a direct invitation to participate in summer programming. Again, that invitation went to students and families who then were able to accept that invitation. We also partnered with the Hillsboro Public Library for a summer reading program as we added that flair of literacy into our program. And then also, some of you were able to also see 9 of our students who participated in the summer graduation, which again comes from some of that credit attainment work to get students another opportunity for graduation for both their families and for themselves to celebrate. Okay, career technical education, there was 4 camps this summer, 2 middle school and 2 high school. Again, this one is a blended funding, and some of the money that came from our summer scholars helped to pay for these camps, as well as some Perkins funding as well. This one is, we have high school students that help work with middle school students in those 2 middle school camps, and then we also partnered with Portland Community College. They have a welding mobile lab, and so they came and did some intro to welding at Hillsboro High School. And then we also this summer, through a Future Ready Oregon grant, had another high school program, Future Makers, to support some of the great work that's happening at Century through their making. Learning. I want to also thank my colleagues around the table because a lot of the work-based learning, some of you took interns from communications, facility, technology, business. We also, though, have interns that help support around our community, and our interns also help to support some of our programs through STEAM, through our early literacy program, our bilingual enrichment program. So again, to give some of our students that work-based learning opportunities, not only in our district office, but throughout our community is always a key, I think, to summer success too. Since we have the leader of the STEAM program around the table tonight, I felt like it would be weird for me to pass the pretend microphone to Francesca.
Good evening, everyone. So this year, for the first time ever, we ran a summer STEAM program targeting students who are currently in the last school year in grades 2nd through 5th, so rising 3rd through 6th graders. 107 students were enrolled, and we ran school days for 2 weeks. This was funded by the students from the state of Oregon last year that helped us dedicate funding for this program. We have 5 staff members from our school district and classified staff members, and then 6 high school interns, which were amazing to see. All but one were seniors, incoming seniors. One of them was Katie's son. And they got right in there and were able to teach kids coding, how to code robots, how to utilize Canva, how to utilize different marketing tools. They put a full event together on the last day where families and parents were able to come in and see all the work that they had done, from everything from creating windmills to different science projects with planting of seeds indigenous to this area. We also partnered with the Oregon, the nature forest up at near the zoo.
Forestry Center.
Forestry Center. And the Forestry Center worked with us. They had an indigenous display of local artists who all identify as indigenous. And we ran 3 rotations with our students the first week, where they went and saw the Great Northwest at the zoo, and then they would go and access the Northwest Museum and learn about Sasquatch and the indigenous cultures that are tied into our learning for STEM and for science. And then we had a Face It Fun partnership those 2 weeks. It was amazing, and I cannot wait till we're able to do it again. We learned a lot.
Extended school year helps us support students that are all the way from elementary, middle, and high school. Extended school year are students who are selected by staff who meet a selection criteria that includes regression and recruitment time. And so students are identified to participate, parents select if they want their students to continue to attend. What's interesting about extended school year is they have that whole group classroom time, but they also can sign up for individualized tutoring as well. And so you'll see that they range from not only adaptive PE time, but also incorporate art, that tutoring time as well. This program has been going for quite some time and is funded by IDEA dollars. Early literacy program, which is funded by our early literacy grant. This year we had 2 sites, last year we had 4, so we collapsed 2 for sites this year. And these are students who are finishing 1st through 3rd grade, who were below grade level in English literacy skills and did not pass a specific task on the district required phonics survey. Teachers made recommendations on students that would benefit from this intensive instruction in foundational skills, and then students and families could select to be a part of the Sweet Reach program. And this is one of the programs that some of you saw on our tour that took place in Kinder Jumpstart is our last program we're going to highlight, and that is for incoming kinders at Title I schools. Students were enrolled based on needs and capacity each site, and these were determined by previous school experience, but prior to given to students who were not able to attend a preschool. Students transitioning from an ISSP, which is an individual family service plan, to so this is funded by Title I dollars, another program that has been going for quite some time as well. What I wanted to say is we start planning in January, and it is one of my favorite meetings to have. We have it every other week, starting very early on, and some of that great planning and partnership comes from transportation and facilities, and so Saide is going to give an overview of all that great work that occurred from January throughout the entire summer. So thank you, partner.
So, While classroom learning is at the core of a student's educational experience, we know that it actually extends beyond that, right? It occurs while they are forging relationships to and from school. It occurs during lunch when they're breaking bread with their classmates or on the playground. So tonight I'd just like to highlight the contributions of two departments under operations and how they collaborated to make these summer programs so successful. So first off, just some fun facts. We have two terminals. Our first terminal, North Terminal, we had 20 routes come out of that terminal. And the main terminal off of Walnut, there were 25 routes. So a total of 45 routes over the summer to get students to and from the various programs. Within those two terminals, we had actually over 70 staff members. What's not reflected here are the supervisors that were there, that are 12-month employees that were there assisting with the programming of these summer programs. So over 70 staff members, thousands of miles and thousands of hours to make these programs so successful and support the learning happening in the schools. Nutrition Services also played a key role. They supported programs anywhere from dual language to STEAM, like Fran was referring to. And in the Jump Start 7 sites, so all the other programs offered breakfast and lunch, and in Jump Start they offered a morning snack and lunch services to all the students. We also supported 6 park sites. So various locations throughout our community where children from ages 1 to 18 could come and enjoy a free lunch. We also included one more site, which was the Witch Hazel Playground. So 7 sites total where families could come and students could enjoy a free lunch and enjoy the park or the playground before, during, and after lunch. A new service that was added was including 4 rural locations. So Equality, Groner, North Plains, and Farmington View. All of these sites offered 5 breakfasts and 5 lunches. They were picked up by parents or family members once a week, and they served over 16,000 meals in those 4 rural sites. Here's some just general facts as far as the magnitude of breakfast, lunches, and snacks served over the course of the various programs, with a total of over 30 staff members supporting this program within all of those schools and at all of those sites. And then also North Plains Library partnered with Nutrition Services and offered free books to both Equality Ridge and North Plains Elementary School during their meal pickup. And they, Nutrition Services also partnered with a couple of farms in the area to support with fresh grown blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries for their actual lunch program. So these were served within the programs, and this is a highlight of a partnership. And that is how we were able to support our summer programs. And also a shout out, maybe it's not mentioned here, but our custodial staff, obviously our facilities and maintenance staff, work tirelessly throughout the summer to make sure these sites are ready to go right after school gets out. And then when the programs are over, they need to make sure those schools are ready for the start of school. It's a very short window. So they work extra time to make sure those schools are ready for our students. Any questions for either of us?
I wanted to say first, thank you both for this excellent presentation, and thank you for the work that you did all year long in order to prepare for this. I know you had mentioned that during your part of the presentation, and you mentioned it when we took the tour of the summer programs, Brooke, but that's absolutely crucial, is having that planning, because I know that there were a number of school districts throughout Oregon that were not able to have their summer programs come through because they were so concerned about the funding and whether or not we would get funding for summer programs. And, you know, your team was just absolutely ready to, you know, just launch into action and make sure that that still happened for 2025. So I think that's really commendable that HSD was in that position. Thank you. I love hearing about the opportunities that you had for partnering with the parks departments, you know, for having lunches available at Shoot Park during outpost time. I mean, that is absolutely crucial in the community for so many families all summer long. So thank you for that. And then also for meeting the needs of rural families as well, because that's clearly something that we saw a need for. So I appreciate that. And I think my only question is just, how can we support summer programs? How can we support this for the future? Are there things that we're concerned about now? And you know, especially with you mentioning like the Kinder Jump Start being Title I funding, are we concerned about funding any more than we are already concerned about funding?
I think that you know, ensuring at any time if you need more information, I mean, always reach out to us. But I think the summer program information that you have in the packet, as well as this presentation, and I know this is a board goal of yours, the advocacy that you can do, and as much as I can equip you with data and facts and information, because yes, it is true that we're going to need to continue to be creative with funding. And yes, it is true that when we know that there's stable funding, that allows us to have a better program in place or programs in place. So I think as much as you are looking to ensure that that advocacy goal is met just in stable funding for our education, summer program is definitely a part of that, right? We know that school districts often are school districts more proud of that to be able to do that, but that is part of hoping that we've equipped you with some data that you can continue that advocacy. And I know that that was such a big part of that, the $1 million that we received, that we were able to do a lot with, because we could continue with that. I also just appreciate so much when you can come and see the programs in action. That too, so we got the community to host you, so we can connect some of the programming too. But that's I think the biggest ask is just that continuation of that clear and consistent ask of we need stable funding so that we can create awesome programs. Anything else to add to that?
I would just echo, just sharing those success stories and how these summer programs are positively impacting our students in our community would be very helpful.
Obviously, positively impacted my household already. Thank you, Francesca, for being a great first boss for my son's first summer job.
I would say one more thing too is, and I know that we talked about this, that our community-based partners and organizations are also in a crucial time for funding as well. And so as we do partner with our community-based organizations in the summer as well, not only are we best thinking of how to academically support students, but a lot of times our CBOs come alongside us to support also services for students. And but that in turn, also we're thinking of how to best go into collaboration of funding with them. So just also as we think about that advocacy, we're advocating for funding for Hillsboro School District, but also for our community in some ways as well in those partnerships. And we know that we are in a time of scarcity, both at federal and state funding levels, and that is not only for our school district, but also for our community partners too. So I would stop that as well.
What role, man, does the recently passed summer funding bill from legislature, does that shore us up for like a year, 2 years? Like what's I can't really remember.
Yep, 2 years. Yep, so we know that $1 million is intact again for next year. So those dollars went to our bilingual enrichment program, our high school credit attainment program, and some of our work-based learning and our career tech ed programming. So that $1 million was earmarked for those programs. So as we go into planning for next year, we are happy that we have another year going in of stable funding in that direction.
The meal program is amazing. Is the funding stream, is that the same funding stream that allows us to provide free lunches and free meals to every kid? Is that different?
for meals.
Yeah.
Some of our programs, depending like on the snacks, for example, those are program specific, but like a breakfast and a lunch is part of the nutrition services program that's already designated. It's that if we're going to do some additional snacks, then the programs are funding for one.
Program that lets us, that we qualified for it, or that continues through the summer. It's not just a school year, academic year.
Using the summer.
Minus that.
Minus that. Unusual to see. What role did the Hillsboro Police Department play in the kinder program?
They came in and did some safety lessons with students, so they came in and specifically just worked on safety in those classrooms, more like a stranger danger or bike safety to show support.
I was not in the most recent round of classified hearings, but
Coming out of the pandemic, that was one of the hot topics of conversation was summer transportation and ensuring that also 70 people who transportation services work in the summer. Those are all like our probably 8 months or whatever staff who are able to take more in the summer and about 50 volunteers. They can choose to work in the summer, and that's us providing opportunities for all of them.
Correct.
So we there was I think it was pandemic related, but a lot of discussion about how we didn't want to outsource that for whatever use contractors or we have people. That's still pretty. I mean,
so many people getting work in the summer that wanted it. I love that.
And that's where the planning of that part specifically starts for like in February or March. But again, it's that because we are able to plan so far ahead and really think about the positions that are needed, and we work with our human resources team to then be able to share that pretty early with staff to pair them and know then how much we also need to advertise or fill. So again, because of planning so early and knowing the funding that we do have, that helps to connect in that way too.
I think, as is often the case, Hillsboro is exemplary statewide. Evidenced by, for those we didn't know, Travis and Brooke were in the Capitol last year explaining to like they were requested to come and explain the successes that Hillsboro School District has in this regard so that other districts can learn from us and that state legislatures can learn from us. So kudos to everybody for continuing to make a great program work. Weird philosophical question. I did hear one legislator say, we're going to continue to worry about and continue to spend lots of money in summer school. Why are we not considering year-round school? I think we've talked about this before, theoretically. That's a question I have for the experts. In those models that have been successful elsewhere, the breaks are longer, more interspersed. You end up with more teaching days. Does it end up being more days contract time? Students?
Contact time, or is it about the same year out of the year?
I don't know that. I'm looking at Connor. I know that Oregon is at the bottom of the stack in terms of days and contact hours in total. So if we were to compare ourselves to another state that had year, they have more days and more hours. I'm not sure if that's a function of the 9 months or the year round. I would say that if it's true that some students need more than other students, I'd say that there are 3 data points that I look at with our summer programs that would make it a really compelling case for year-round school. One is our extended school year program and the length of the school year for students who qualify for ESY via their IEP. The other one is if I look at the academic outcomes for bilingual students in the Hillsboro School District, I think our bilingual enrichment program is a solid boost to students who are acquiring English as a second or third or fourth language. And then when I look at our credit attainment work in the last few years, I think a pride point for Hillsboro is our grad rate, especially the gap closure we see between demographic groups with our graduation rate. And that boost for students who just need a little extra to get those credits taken care of. Those are 3 really good arguments for summer programming. I will go off the record tonight and comment around year-round school versus 9-month school calendar, but those are reasons to have extended schooling for students.
Have we ever considered
Very narrow, completely voluntary pilot program of The year-round plan?
I've never been involved in that.
Staff, like,
No.
like, well, maybe do it at this one elementary school or a subset of we never even thought about a small pilot program.
Talked about it, but I've never been involved in a serious, like, logistics conversation about it.
I think you have to also think about like families that have
Yeah.
students in a K-12 system. That's something, when I taught in Idaho and that was a consideration for families as they entered into middle school and high school that were not on a year-round. You have to consider as you make those decisions.
At Idaho, they had a for elementary or optional, or like that's just how it was.
That was one of the options.
Right.
Yeah.
If we ever did a pilot program, it would be optional.
I have a question. Brooke, were we able to serve all of the families that met the criteria and also were either invited? Like, were we at capacity or not able to serve some students just based on availability?
To my knowledge of each program, you're able to serve all of them. I did who wanted to.
Invitation only.
So each of the programs gathers
to serve more families, or be limited by certain, I don't know, head count, number of teachers available or anything like that?
We had more funding last year for summer programming. For example, we had $1.5 million, and this year we received $1 million through summer funding. So with that, it's more about maybe extending the length of time of a more robust program than the volume of people invited, because we have been able to serve the amount that we've invited. So it's more about how about we add an additional week of support, or instead of a 4-day program, a 5-day program. So that's the shift of what dollars have done in the programming is that robust, that experience in that program for the students.
Echoing Katie's words, is great presentation, and thank you for inviting us to do the stuff. The thing I remember the most was when we did our last stop at Pointer and how excited the two educators were of having students back and having this program they offer and try to, accommodate to their schedules, their time schedules, how they're getting off start. Everybody who was involved in the funding and then I recently was asked, what am I most proud of that HSD has done? And there's like a plethora of things that we're so proud of, right? But the one I am most proud of was, I am very proud that HSD offers free meals to our students. If there's one thing that's still bewildering to me, is that in public education, we still provide meals for our students. And so that is wonderful to see all the people involved, the things that, our students get to eat, because sometimes it's the only time they get to eat. And so I just wanted to say thank you to you and everyone involved in that, Thank you. So go ahead and any other comments? Move on to the next agenda item, which is the work session is to discuss 2 open positions from the Washington region of the OSBA board. This year's position 6 currently held by Tristan Irving from Tigard Tualatin School District. Position 20 currently held by our own Nancy Thomas. And nominations are open for the OSBA Legislative Policy Committee as well for position 15, held currently by Melissa School District in Division 16, currently held by Becky Tunchuk in Beaverton. Bill is Tigard. Our job here today is to discuss whether or not we'd like to nominate someone for one of these open positions. And I think we should start with opening the floor with Nancy. Sorry, Nancy? Correct. We do the nominations downstairs.
Oregon Board Association, I can tell you, I'm feeling good about going here right now. I didn't feel that way in 2023 when I was initially nominated. We've come a long way. We have been able to keep up a lot of chaos, a lot of mischief with men, with strong pushing and flicking, and I mean that in every sense of the word. But leadership now at OK is on a strong trajectory. The board is on a strong trajectory, and I'm really pleased to be a part of the leadership body. We recently got together at Timberline College, Timberline Lodge in Mount Hood. First time I've seen Mountain View, so totally fascinating. I'm not a skier, but I couldn't imagine coming down with that much snow, knowing that the snow had to pack it was just beautiful, drop dead gorgeous. So we had our board meeting there, and proud to say that I was nominated and elected as the vice president. In that position, I will be the lead for the Legislative Policy Committee. So we can, there are a number of individuals who are running for those positions from fellow Washington County boards that are pretty stable, and I'm looking forward to working with them. It's going to be a push. There's lots of work to do. I also spent the day with my day job in Salem, and I can tell you there's more coming down the line. Just today, we got another mandate that we have to come up with another budget, reducing our budget by another 5%. We got a day per SNAP benefit for our family. And all I could think of all day was the number of children that this was going to impact. There is a significant body of people who will now be without benefits. And it is actually going to be retroactive as far as we know. It is up to 48%. This is supplemental nutrition. This is the money that people use to feed their families. This is the reason why we're feeding our children the way we are. So there is much coming down the pike. Get ready to have to be comfortable with our discomfort. We are not going to get what we need from the legislature to take care of everything that needs to be done. It's sobering, and I hate to say it like that, but it was, and that was our message today. So they brought all the executives from the agency together, and we were all in one room, and they went through everything from HS1, the federal legislation, and how it's going to impact the state of Oregon. And again, all I could think of was the kids. All I could think of was them. So there is no better place for us to be than right now, right here. That's all. And I'm looking forward to keeping you updated on everything as we go. There's a lot of advocacy work that has to be done. Although I will say that at this point, I think we're going to just be managing the ship, honestly. We just have to make sure that we fight as hard as we can to keep the impact as little as possible, and then keep watching the news, and I will continue to share with you what I learned from my day job, because that impacts the families that we all of our counties are going to be.
I just wanted to clarify that I'm understanding correctly. So for Nancy, recently elected to her leadership role on the board of directors, I'm taking that you are interested in continuing to serve. And so
what we will be going downstairs, and it's good to be your go ahead.
just make
your voter confidence so that I can then go forward and accept that. today's position obviously is that I have to be a member of this board, which we managed to do together in May. So now it's back onto the board so that I can formally accept the vice president. And Rose is helping to navigate all the back paperwork behind that. And then it is due by September 30th.
Right, we're only nominating Nancy today. We're not actually voting for her today. We're just nominating her position, and then, before December, I believe we actually vote her position. So it's a two-step process. So we're only nominating her.
And just work to be done.
Absolutely, I'm just clarifying, you know, your interest in that leadership role, I would assume means that you're interested in continuing.
Yeah.
And she has to, so we're nominating her again. And then just point of information, I believe Becky Timchuk is Northwest Regional ESD, not BSD.
Right, she's Northwest.
She was BSD for a long time, but not anymore.
In terms of who's serving from which boards currently, just clarify.
Was there any discussion?
At the retreat about the positions we have in our region for LPC, do all people and you?
As far as I know, yes, we have already had the resignation of Thompson, and she will not be running for her term. That will happen.
That was LPC or the LPCA?
Well,
Your name on here.
yeah, her position.
Oh, so,
But her
okay.
next position, yeah.
So
her next go.
she's resigning or whatever, and then we'll have to appoint the person.
If we want it to come from our.
If I'm position open for nomination, LPC, that doesn't mean a separate policy committee. I felt more interested in the LPC. That is also another area folks can put forward their interest in.
Our region gets 3 on the board and 3 on the LPC. I was fortunate enough to serve as one of our LPC representatives for a very long time.
With Becky. It is great. I wouldn't want to push anybody out who doesn't want to be in there, but if there's an open position, I think it's important for our region to stay represented and for Hillsboro to have a voice on that. So if somebody isn't running, we have to decide tonight though, which is weird. Without
The
knowing.
nomination has been by church.
Okay, so but basically today, so,
And there have been times where we've had Director Erica Lopez on the OSBA board. Director Watson serves on LPC.
Yeah. So the more the merrier.
I would say if you have an interest in serving on the legislative policy committee, is a great way to learn about the legislative process and have an opportunity to interact with legislators a little bit more, so.
Mark, could you share how the number of hours or the commitment, what that looks like?
Meeting every quarter or so,
In-person meeting every quarter,
probably some virtuals.
lots of virtual.
During session, there's like a Friday lunchtime debrief. A lot of the work is helping set the marching orders for the lobbying staff. Basically, this is what we're advocating for. That's, equally important to all 197 school districts. There's LPC and OSBA, in my opinion, lately have done a very good job of finding that common interest for all 197, not participating in the urban-rural divide, and being very supportive of the things that every student.
So, for example, because of the intensity of everything that was happening in the legislative session, we met solid every Friday for at least an hour at noon for at least 4 months. And the amount of information that they were pushing to us and advising us on was absolutely staggering.
So much this week.
I guess my suggestion would be is if somebody has interest in serving on that, we could nominate them, and then if we find out that when people want to continue, we don't want to kind of go head to head, you could withdraw. So I mean, like, I think there's probably, if somebody has interest in serving on it, you know.
Questions or comments? We'll move on to our last item of business, which is to discuss the CCAC selection process.
Foremost, thank you so much for helping to recruit. I brought this forth a couple of weeks ago. We were still needing some applicants, and I'm happy to report that we have exceeded that. So we're going to go over that this evening. So the Community Curriculum Advisory Committee, just a reminder that this committee is an advisory in nature, and the board may or may not concur with the recommendations of this committee. But definitely helps with give their recommendation not only for courses, but also curriculum. This year, we do have one student member position open and 7 open. And the way that we had advertised, I should add it also through support from the board for bringing more applicants. And also as a reminder that we like to make sure that there's diverse representation within our committee that reflects not only our students, but our families. And then that also means for our feeders as well. So we like to make sure that we have voices and representation from all 4 of our large feeders, and then also from Oak Street Campus and Hillsboro Online. These are the members that will be returning to serve their 2nd year of service this coming year. Because of that goal around diversity of representing students and families, I also like to share how the members identify in race. So with our 7 active members, we have 1 member that identifies Hispanic, Latino, Latinx. We have 5 members that identify as white and 1 that identifies as Black, African American. Our current applicants, we did have 1 community member who pulled their application yesterday, and that's Marta Corbett. So when we published these slides last week, we thought applicant number 8 would be continuing in applying, but she has informed us that due to work, she's going to pull that application. So with the members who are applying, we have 10 community applicants now, 6 that identify as white, 1 that preferred not to respond, 1 that identifies as Black African American, and 2 that identify as Asian Pacific Islander. Also in this, I'd like to also point out that applicants 1 through 7 are new applications, and applicants 9 through 11 would be applying as returners to our committee. We have 5 students that will be returning, which in my time of running CCAC has been unusual that we have students who were either 10th or 11th graders and who now will be able to have that 2nd year of service on the CCAC. So you'll see that we have 2 students that represent the Liberty High School voice to Glencoe High School and 1 Hillsboro Online. But again, the reason we have 6 positions open is that we, like our school board reps, we want to make sure that there are voices that represent all of our schools. So ideally, we would want to have a student voice that comes from each of our high school sites, including Hillsboro Online and Oak Street Campus. The 5 returners, 3 identify as white, 1 identifies as Hispanic, Latino, Latinx, and 1 that identifies as Asian Pacific Islander. We have 3 student applicants, and you'll see also the schools that they represent as well. And in those applications, 1 student identifies as white, 1 student identifies as Hispanic, Latino, Latinx, and 1 student identifies as Asian Pacific Islander. So in our next steps, you'll see tonight, you're going to have the opportunity to hear from each of our applicants. I do have a couple that I will be reading their statements because they weren't able to be here in person, but most of our applicants will be joining us in person. We have a couple that are joining us virtually as well. From that, you will vote, we'll tally that, and then you'll have an opportunity downstairs to share that decision as well. We will then let each applicant know either if they were selected or not this week, and then our first meeting will be October 13th to kick off our season of the CCAC. So before we bring up our applicants, do you have any questions or anything that you would like to discuss before we move forward in the process?
6 student positions total that we normally have?
Yes.
And 5 are continuing?
And 5 are continuing. Yes.
So, does this put, so we only really have room for 1 student? But, also, does this put them, so they're continuing, they're probably going to be seniors next year?
So we're going to really have to step up our recruiting effort next year because we're 5.
Yes.
And next year?
Yeah, so, and then also just to note, in the last couple of years, we have mostly had seniors, so this is an unusual space for us to be in, that we did have students that were able to serve that second year of their term. So we will have to definitely step up recruiting, and also it will give us an opportunity to reset, though, what we ideally want, which is a representative of each school to have that voice as we look at both courses and curriculum that impacts really across grade levels and across those high schools, so to bring that voice from each high school is really important. So yes. The other thing to know as well is that written in policy IFF, the community does have the opportunity to either move forth with what was been selected as 14 community members and 6 students, but that is something that you can also discuss this evening as knowing the data that I've put forth, if that's something you want to discussion, or if you'd like to move forward with the 14 and 6 that serve in a total of 20 members.
Student applicants this time around who are currently juniors and if not selected might have a chance next year to do this?
So,
As an application of like what year they are.
I believe that all 3 of our students are currently seniors. I would have to check on, I know that our student, that is our Glencoe student, is a senior. I also know that our third applicant is one I want to make sure is a senior and is not a senior. That application.
I'd also like to point out that those top 2 are student reps that apply to the board, and then on the other 2 of the 3 also apply to the board as well. So I am myself, I'm doing a great job. Recruiting.
Good job.
Yeah. So for the 20 people who served at least in the past year, do you need a quorum then? A quorum of 11? How does that work to vote on? Do you need a quorum of 11?
Yes.
And then, did you ever have trouble achieving that quorum based on?
That's a good question.
Okay.
We only had trouble one time last January, and that was when there was like a winter snowstorm, and so we achieved it. We had the 11th person come, and so, but that was in my years of time, which is going to year 3. We have not had a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, but that is that one time last January. And then I also think you wrote a quick check, all 3 applicants are seniors. I just wanted to give you a confident answer in that. So yes, all 3 that have applied are seniors this year.
And 2 of them applied to be on the school board and 1 is?
Yes.
Like, is Nicole with us online?
She is. I think is serving in her yak capacity right now. I saw her online in her yak shirt, so I think.
Wow, that feels like a lot. Okay.
And she's on the bond. Oh, there's a choice point there.
And yes.
And Jason, we interviewed Jason, right?
Yep, Jason is applied for the board.
Right.
Last year we interviewed, go back one slide. Interviewed Jesse and Matthew.
Right.
Yeah, they are seniors this year, they were. Okay.
All six are remaining, or one of those is not coming back? It's
TBD.
Yeah, right there.
Mid-century student.
Oh, TBD. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
So you're looking at that fourth line right now as the vacant student spot. Yes.
My name is Nadia Jesse. He also sits on the EAC, and he is the representative from the We're saying Nicole. I just want to throw that out.
And he's on the bond development committee.
We also have called each of those 5 students. They all have shared with us they are very committed to staying on CCAC. They're headed into their second term.
So we need to just choose one of the 3 for that position.
And that is up to the board. So again, in policy, you have the opportunity if you wanted to move more members forward. That is your choice. If not, that is currently what we've been working with is 14 community members and 6 student reps.
I think we have more than.
Not in my time, I don't know, as a former executive secretary, if you had more than 6. Okay. So there was a time that we did shift from 4 or 5 student voices to that 6th student, and that was, again, to make sure that we had representation from Hillsboro Online Academy and Oak Street campus to also mirror also the student voice that you have too in your school board. Yeah, no, great question.
I just want to say publicly, this is a good program.
Yeah.
This is a blessing. Absolutely.
I can accommodate, right?
No doubt about it.
Wasn't always the case.
It might be that we need to hear the choice points that they need to make before we vote. The first choice that they need.
Yeah, okay. So in that, your choices that you could explore before we have our applicants is we could look at continuing with having 6 student reps that continue to fill the voices of our schools. Your second choice could be to explore if you wanted to bring on those additional students. They could serve in a capacity as members at large that could have that experience and have a voice, but we would not have them vote. So that set forth already by the agreements that you have in place. We have 14 community members that vote and 6 students that vote. So we could have 2 members at large who have that experience before they graduate, but would not be voting members. So that is a choice point that you could discuss and have. So you may want to think about that before we bring in the students and community members, as that may change your decision points on your ballot.
Remind me, Rose, how do we do the?
I just wanted to clarify then, if we did decide to opt for voting in one student and allowing the other 2 students to be members at large, we would be specifically voting on, like, we wouldn't be giving the 3 of them the option of who's going to serve. We would be voting in one human, and then the other 2 would be members at large.
Yes.
If they decided to remain a member at large.
Yes.
Okay, that was my clarification.
Yeah, that's really good. So we definitely could do that, and then we would ensure that we invite all 3 students to every meeting, but we would make sure that designated student who has that voting piece, that we capture their votes, but we also hear the voices of all 3. Or, sorry, Nancy, do you have a question for one? Yeah.
I can't remember how we do the vote. Do we?
We have this ballot right
Yeah.
here.
That's what it is.
Yeah, see, we're ready.
We have two options ready for whatever decision you guys make. On one side, we have the candidate, the student candidate you're going to vote for, and the other one is the candidate the other two candidates. So that you'll vote for one voting member and then the two non-voting, at-large members.
If that's what you
Is that what you
decide.
decide,
Yeah.
or we have the option where you'll just vote for one student?
Yeah.
So,
I
what-
I guess the
Google form
question
before,
is, do we
right?
need a motion to keep it? Like, for example, I said, I would really love to keep the 6 students.
we don't need a motion because these are
We
not.
don't have to do that.
This is,
Go ahead. In the spirit of transparency, very robust conversation topic at the agenda review meeting. It took up actually a lot of our time.
45 minutes.
There were, I would say that what that led us to was, okay, it's not something that we have to do a motion or it's not official policy or anything, but I think that this conversation for this upcoming school year, I think it would be helpful if we did set some criteria. So right now there is no set number in stone where we've said it's going to be 6, it has to be 6, right? We could always kind of revisit that, it can change. I think whether we do the 6 members or the 8 members with the 2 at large, I think we just have to think about what precedent that sets moving forward. So let's say next year we have 10 students. Will we then make 2 additional at-large members? And so I think we have to say, where do we draw that line? And maybe 6 is that number because it makes sense. We have 4 comprehensive high schools, HOA, and then Oak Street. So great, let's stick with the 6. Or 2 at-large just to, I hate the idea of turning away students who are interested and passionate and who have voice and interest. And so you could go either way, and that I think is what we have to decide on before. That though, aside from what we're deciding tonight, I think moving forward into the next school year, it would be helpful for us to maybe come up with some criteria and maybe put it in, I don't know put it in the policy or something like that where we say, we will try to recruit from, X number of students representing each of our high schools, or our alternative schools. And, one thing is, another thing that came up was, we do have our lovely student rep who, is super active, super, wanting to be involved. We also have many other students who don't have or haven't had the ability to serve in a certain student representative capacity. And so do we allow for more room at the table for other students to kind of get that diverse representation? And so then maybe for our student reps moving forward, active student reps, maybe we say, hey, you can be a student rep and be involved with one other board committee. Or something like that, where we kind of put something in writing to make it a bit easier moving forward. So those were just some of the takeaways that came from our meeting. And instead of us just deciding like, we're going to keep with the 6 and that's all, or we're going to, we did want to bring that to the board to have this discussion and then see which way we wanted to move.
But we have to make that decision. It has to be a vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a vote, it's just a stern thumbs up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Blue ballot or the yellow
How
ballot?
many thumbs up do we have to keep it at 6?
As someone who advocated to expand it in the past, I think I'm fine not doing that again. I realize that it makes it more cumbersome for the staff that has to manage that committee, so
Absolutely.
I'm fine leaving it. I'm fine with the blue one.
blue is not expanding.
Right.
The blue is 6.
Expanding.
Okay.
How many thumbs up for blue?
Yeah.
You're not expanding.
Okay, sounds good. Look, we really came prepared tonight. This is good. Okay, so blue is not expanding. So if we could just be who's in favor of just
Hold them up high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all I need. Okay. Would you like to raise your hands and tell us you're just expanding? My interest is in what you said, that it's nice to give the opportunity for members at large, knowing that they're all seniors. We're going to have a clean slate next year either way. So I don't think that we need to be concerned with, are we going to have 9 next year? Are we going to have 10? Are we going to have 11? We're going to have a clean slate either way. As someone who, was myself a high school overachiever and the parents of one as well, I am loath to stop a senior from adding something to their resume in college application season. So if our seniors are interested in serving on another committee, then I would love to give them that opportunity. It gives us an opportunity for more diversity on the board. If one of our seniors has commitments that cause them to drop out and we could consider moving at large into that voting position as well. So for all of those reasons, I was in favor of expanding.
Katie, I will share to your point, and that is something that's written in the AR to policy IFF is if you have some, I have an extra amount that can be and bring that forth and bring either, then we'll have 2 applicants who are selected tonight. We can bring that back to the committee anytime and say, hey, we had in this case, a student who needed to step down, and here are 2 applicants So just know that we can still do that, which is written into that AR.
Yeah. Good to know.
Okay.
I will just echo a lot of what Katie said. I think my biggest thing is the diverse representation. And right now, the current students, we are seeing 3 white, 1 Hispanic, Latino, Latinx, and 1 Asian Pacific Islander. And I think that I would like to see more voices represented, and here's an opportunity to do so. Whether they're an overachiever or not, right? It's still actually probably gives even more perspective because they're in other spaces where they're getting valuable information. Helpful for this curriculum advisory committee. I don't know them personally. I've only looked at their applications, but that's the thing that sticks out the most is an opportunity to have 2 Hispanic, Latino, Latinx voices or 2 Asian Pacific Islander voices. Student voices, even more important because they go back and they hear from peers and colleagues. So that was why.
I had a comment about our process. It's very exciting to do. I enjoyed serving on this board for a number of years. I guess, first of all, I wanted to mention a couple of things to Brooke. Potential for next year, I don't know if other board members these would make things easier or harder for them, but from my perspective, I think I would actually prefer, having gone through the process a few times, to interview, to meet the folks applying, whether in person or by Zoom, at the meeting, and then not vote immediately, but have a little time to consider what they shared in their presentation and compare that with their written materials, and then maybe vote at the next meeting, or else in the interim do the straw poll, the unofficial vote. So just something to consider for next year is whether other board members would be agreeable to not immediately. I just kind of benefit from having a little time to sit with when people share their content with us. And then the other thing was, I know I could look this up if I wanted to. I didn't take the time to this time, but because the addresses of the adult community member applicants are included. But it might be nice to have a line on the form where they indicate which high school geographical zone they're in, just so I can get a sense for, without having to Google all of their addresses and compare it to the map, are all these people from the same high school area, or are they from different parts of the community? So those were 2 things I thought perhaps worth considering, if you don't mind, for next year. Thank you.
And Patrick, I'm taking a note, just as the executive secretary, I would just share that if that first suggestion is of interest, but definitely the application piece we can take care of. If that's something that the board decides that they would like to do, that would be something that we would then use. There's a Appendix A of the AR, and so we would add that as part of the step, and that would be something then that the board would decide, and then we could carry that out. So just as we think about the process going into this next year, I'm taking note of that, but I just want to bring that. So that would be something that the board would order us to do. Thank you, Patrick.
My question, or if you can remind me of, how long have we had this committee?
That is in also our policy as well of when the started. I know, it is noted. It's been,
Joe might know.
been some time. I know at least 10 years.
Right.
Because this is, but I might be wrong. I think when I read it was, I want to say though, it was like around 2008 is when CCAP was started, but we're going to look that up.
Great.
Yeah.
Since that we're having as things change and progress and we find ourselves in situations we haven't before, it's always great to see, okay, well, this is where we're at now, but how do we look at it this differently for next year? I'm not a big fan of changing the rules as the game goes, as it's already started, and so I think having these conversations is fantastic of how do we do this improvement to something that's already great, you know? Things change and evolve, and we got to keep working towards it. Yeah.
My record shows 12, 13, but there, it could be about
2012.
Yeah.
I think in the earlier days,
My service, it was harder to, we would often apply and still have vacant positions. The abundance of riches is a relatively new phenomenon.
Change and evolve and how we are just now at a different level of, I don't want to say spectacle, but a new level of attention and great attention because our community and be involved as much as they can. What are
Wonderful blessing.
correct?
I think when we have this conversation, I experience the squishing, for lack of a better term, but this is a natural evolution. It's a good evolution. I remember my first year, we didn't have this many, and now we have a plethora to choose from. So it's a wonderful thing. And then also, don't forget that there's other things that they can serve on. It sounds like a bunch of them are already serving on a timer. However, there's always someplace else that they can serve as well. And it's really awesome that now the epitome of all that service is being here. That's awesome.
Whatever way you want to go, we'll do it. Yeah, great. Then we can.
Okay, so in order of your ballot is how we will either invite our CCAC applicants to present their statements. Again, I'm reading just a couple tonight, and then we also have some members or some applicants online as well. So the first one that we have is Kirsten Heather Moreno, and I will be reading Kirsten's statement. Again, each statement is between 30 and 50 seconds long, so I will be reading this first applicant statement. My name is Kirsten Moreno, and I'm sorry I'm not able to be at the school board meeting to introduce myself. I'm an HSC parent. I've been happy with many aspects of the district's curricula, including the rigorous IB courses at Hill High, the high school career pathway options, and the amazing Spanish dual language program, which all three of my kids have participated in. Until recently, my whole career has been working in education, both K-12 and higher ed, and I have a PhD in foreign language education. I recently changed careers and I'm looking for a way to still use my expertise in education to support my community, and the Community Curriculum Advisory Committee feels like a good way to do just that. Thank you for considering my candidacy. Okay, so that is your first applicant. The next applicant, I believe, is in person. Cindy Ann Davidson, are you in attendance? And I have your statement. Do you have it as well? I just wanted to make sure. So I will be tiny, and when you are ready.
I'm Cindy Davidson. As a Hillsboro resident for 17 years, a parent of 2 HSC students, and a local business leader, I care about our community and believe that strong schools keep Hillsboro thriving. I want to serve on this committee because as a parent and a former teacher, I've seen how the right curriculum equips teachers to support their students, while the wrong one leaves learning dependent on a teacher's ability to develop their own. I want to use my expertise to help select programs that enable teachers to support our diverse population and ensure every student has the opportunity to reach their full potential, paving the way for the future success. Thank you.
So much, Cindy. Next, I also believe our applicant, Jennifer, is Venucio. Yes, thank you. Hello, it's here in person. And Jennifer, I will be setting the timer. Thank you so much for being here. Watch up a little bit.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Venucio. I'm also a retired teacher, and I wanted to volunteer the things I've learned and the skill sets that I have to my community. I believe in collaborative learning. I feel like we need the opportunity to process information in different ways, whether that's talking or reading or doing. But I also know that if it's not accessible to the educator, it's really difficult to teach. So I'm interested in participating in curriculum adoption so that I can see the needs of students, but also meet the needs of the teachers, because I've had the experience and I know what it looks like on the other side. So I'm volunteering my time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next applicant is Robin Brun. Rune, hello. And I will be setting a timer and begin when you are ready.
Hi, my name is Robin Brune. I am a stay-at-home mom and the parent of a 7th grader newly started at Pointer. For the past 7 years, I volunteered and served on the booster board at Aranco Elementary. The last 3 years, I served as president. This gave me the opportunity to grow my leadership skills and deepen my commitment to our schools. I am now looking for new ways to contribute, particularly in the curriculum selection process as my daughter approaches high school. I believe every student deserves access to a curriculum that is both challenging and relevant, helping them grow into curious, compassionate, and capable individuals. I would be honored to help support that vision for all students in our district. Thank you so much for your time.
Next, we have April Davis, who I believe is here with us in person. Again, April, I will. And you may begin. I'm ready.
So, I prepared a statement exactly like 3 seconds long. I mean, it was I got 4 children go through that at Hillsboro, and graduated from Hillsboro High School. They're doing awesome, by the way. Okay, I've lived in Hillsboro for over 28 years. My children attended Hillsboro schools. I believe that educating children is best interest of parents, cities, states, and country. I believe that there are many distractions that get in the way of teaching and make children lose interest. They become disengaged with their own learning and growth. Some kids do not understand the value of education. Some get bored and tune out. Some are overwhelmed and feel hopeless. It is the responsibility of educators to have curriculum that will engage our students.
People. Next is Sean Watkins. Sean is in person with us tonight. Hi, Sean. Thank you so much. I'll set the timer.
Sean Watkins. I've lived in this district for 25 years. My wife and I raised children. Both were going to college. Both century and all friends. Then I was a teacher in Hillsboro School District 16. I volunteered myself as a coach, basketball coach, downtown, Christian Brown, first grade, and I was like to help school districts. Helping to develop curriculum that may be validating what's already been in use, maybe coming up with new things, I think that some of my background would help with that. I studied chemical engineering in college, got a bachelor's degree, marketing, degree for a master's degree. But ultimately, like many degrees, maybe you learned, taught me how to learn, as well as on-the-job training that I've done in numerous roles in Intel. And I hope to bring that to any sort of evaluation that we might do as we compare various curriculums, because the goal would be to try to help every student succeed, to be challenged, to be pushed, to be tested, to whatever their level is. So,
John, we're at time. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And then we also share that Marta has decided that she's going to pull her application, so we're going to skip over that one. I will be reading our next applicant, and that is Bashir Roy Bardon. My name is Bashir Roy Bardon, and I currently work as an author and a research faculty associate affiliated to a public state university. I've been living in Hillsboro School District for over 6 years now. My daughter has started going to kindergarten this fall. I left my last job to come to Hillsboro as my wife transitioned to a new job at Thermo Fisher here, and also to finish my upcoming textbook on quantum physics. I have reasonable experience of teaching at the undergraduate level, but to me, the most fulfilling part of academia came from my combination of play, hands-on experiences with my daughter, and building positive relationships within a supportive community, which I experienced in the last summer. All of these have made me keenly interested in contributing and being a part of the Community Curriculum Advisory Committee. Some relevant experiences include a certification course at MIT, which consisted of a number of intensive workshops focused on curriculum design and execution, incorporating various active learning methods and elements. This was completed during my postdoctoral academic tenure there, but has been really helpful to me in proposing and designing new courses at other academic institutions. I think these experiences, along with my genuine interest in being a part of the important aspects of conceptualizing and executing parts of the school curriculum, makes me a suitable candidate for this position. Okay. Our next applicant, Lauren Jones, I believe is virtual with us this evening. Lauren, can you hear me? No Lauren online? Okay. I will. It says he'll be joined, but I have his statement. So here we go. We're ready? Members of the HSD board, my name is Lauren Jones. I was born and raised in the Hillsboro School District. I started at West Union, then went to Evergreen before graduating from Glencoe in 1997, and have lived in the district almost my entire life. I have a son currently going to Patterson Elementary, and while I am unable to take the time to volunteer in his class on a regular basis, I would like the opportunity to contribute in some way, and I feel as though this committee would be a great opportunity to do so. I previously served on the CCAC last year and very much enjoyed being able to help improve the district from behind the scenes while meeting administrators, faculty, and other parents. Thank you for your time. So that is Lauren. And then next we have Joe Everton, and he is in person. And Joe, I am ready when you are. Do we have the mic?
Joe Everton, congrats to the new board members and also Director Watson on third term. Thank you for stepping up. My name is Joe Everton. I'm a sensory parent of 3. I'm big into STEM, music programs, and sports. I think this is the term on the CCAC. I strive to bring my ideas to the table with clarity, but also to make sure that all are heard. I value the committee's mission, and I would be happy to serve another term. My interests continue to be, 1, making sure that there are meaningful choices for students, 2, helping support rigorous programs and courses that my kids have benefited from. You may have noticed another Everton on the application file this year. Lindsay is one of my biggest reasons for serving all these years. And I have had occasional discussions about curriculum and course offerings. She's a thoughtful, talented student, and I think I encourage you to give her appointment priority. I would be happy to support her from the sidelines. But either way, regardless, thanks again for
Can you hear me?
Good evening. We are ready when you are.
Hi.
Hey, is it my turn? Because I couldn't hear the last word. Can you hear me?
We're ready when you are.
Okay, my name is Khalid Babu Ghazala. I'm a parent of two children. One of them is in Jackson Elementary. And I would like to be considered for the CCAC again because I have a vested interest as a parent. I'm also an engineer. I love collaborating with community members. And I have served on the CCAC before, and I'd be privileged to help them in any capacity, either as a member or as a guest. I'd like to think I have attention to detail, and I would bring a unique perspective based on my upbringing, ethnic background, just the social norms that I grew up with, whether it's educational, social norm, family, or community. I'd be privileged to help again in any capacity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So those are your community applicants, and now we will move to our student applicants. The first is online this evening, which is one of your current students, school board reps. I think I saw Nicole online earlier. Nicole, are you able to read your statement to us? No, you are not able to. Okay, it's okay, because you know what's great? I have it, so I'll read it right now. Okay? Okay, thumbs up. Okay, here we go. My name is Nicole Ayaya Kanji, and I'm a student in the Hillsboro School District. I would like to be considered for the Community Curriculum Advisory Committee because I care deeply about ensuring our curriculum reflects both the needs of students and the diversity of our community. I would be honored to contribute my perspective and work alongside others to support meaningful learning for all students. Thank you for your consideration. Thank you, Nicole. Okay, our next is Lindsay Grace Everton, and I do have Lindsay's statement. My name is Lindsay, and I am a senior at Century High School. I wish I could be here, but I am playing at a water polo game. I have enjoyed many of the classes I have taken and appreciate how they help me get ready for college. As a committee member, I am hoping to learn more about how these courses are developed and introduced to schools, as well as to give my input. Thanks, Lindsay. Okay, and then finally, I did see that our last applicant, Jason Brooks, is online. Hi, Jason. I think you're coming live from your car.
Yes.
Hello. Okay, whenever you are ready, please share your statement with us.
All right, thank you. Hi, my name is Jason Brooks. I grew up in the Hillsboro School District my whole life. I am currently a student at both Century High School and the Oak Street campus early college. I think I would make a good candidate for this role because of my background in advocacy as well as my experience at community college. Through the zoo apprenticeship program, I have developed strong advocacy skills that I think could transfer very well to this role. Not only that, but I've taken both high school and college classes, which I think gives me a unique perspective that not many other students have when it comes to choosing classes. Thank you for considering me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, and that rounds out our student candidates. So now you have your ballot before you. So you, again, are selecting 7 community members and 1 student. And we will give you a moment to kind of reflect on what you heard and to vote.
I'd like to say thank you to all the applicants for being here and sharing a piece of your life and the beautiful things you're doing already in your community. I'm so glad to be your neighbor, and I know just from reading all of your application materials, I can tell all of you would bring a perspective and serve very ably. We have to keep it manageable. We have to keep it to a certain number of people, but really, you all are very impressive people, so thank you for being here.
As you're finished with your ballots, please hold them up to let me know that you have them, and then I'm going to tally them, and then before we can go, we need to announce out.
That's a new change, this year.
Wait a minute. Oh my gosh. Be careful.
Take it down. Give it back.
Sorry, you don't have to. I just feel like burning up. Put it back. And I give it to you. Oh, yeah.
Wednesday. Try to get there.
And then I was just, had a line.
Be better in case of anything that was unexpected. Yeah.
There's so much traffic now. I mean.
Saturday there's not. But yes, if I left by after 6:45, it got crazy. You have to be leaving before 6:45.
Because at this time, I thought you can't.
No. Elliot, I would go. Coming here.
Yeah.
We get Stephanie.
Oh, yeah, until Rivers, yeah.
Yeah, they're about to dump that down and go 300 houses. Hello. some other places that bring all the students on, we have other places that we want them in as well.
I believe one part opening on EEOC comes through, so our students are.
We're at 6.
And then I think it would have to be an 18-year-old that can be a registered voter, so if there was one of our seniors.
For budget committee. For budget committee.
For our budget committee, so if there was a registered voter, they could apply for the financial committee. I believe our calendar, we don't have any more, we have a student rep.
I'll be making a announcement too.
And then for.
And day.
Okay, and then for our bonds, we have any more. So I think a opening for an 18-year-old who is a registered voter who can apply for the.
Got it. We don't have a secret ballot?
Yes,
Right.
Anyway, so I guess,
Oh, sorry.
so I didn't really start back up.
So, it's okay. Position 2, we have Cynthia Davidson. Position 4, Robin Brune. Position 5, Joe Everton. Position 10, Kristen Moreno. Position 11, Lauren Jones. Position 14, Khalid. And I don't want to butcher the last name. And for the student position is Jason Brooks.
So much. And so the next steps again will be, we will announce those in regular session, and we will also be informing everyone that I read their statements this evening, again, inviting them either to the October 13th meeting if they have now filled the position, or informing them that they were not selected at this time. Thank you, and thank you everyone for coming to speak. Thank you for those who were online and for those who provided statements for me to read. So, thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we will now recess the work session and begin the regular session downstairs at 7 p.m.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. The Hillsboro School District 1J Board of Directors regular session is now in order. We will begin like we always do with the flag salute, and the flag is right behind you on the right corner. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, I will be reading the Hillsboro School District Land Acknowledgement. As we gather here today, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge that our district service area is on the occupied traditional homelands of the Akwality Indigenous people, lands we now call Washington County in the state of Oregon. We honor the Indigenous people whose traditional and ancestral homelands we stand on the Tualatin, Kalapuya, Kalame, Clackamas, Tumwater, Malala bands of the Chinook, and many other Indigenous nations of the Columbia River. In remembering these communities, we honor their legacy, their lives, and their ancestors. We also recognize the urban Indigenous Native First Peoples community living in the metro area, which includes over 400 tribal nations. The Hillsboro School District is committed to the recognition and education regarding tribal and local history and working with our local tribe in partnership. And our first proclamation is the Latino X Heritage Month proclamation read by Director Jessica Hardy Mercado.
The Hillsboro School District observes Latina, Latino, Latinx, Latine Heritage Month, a time to celebrate the achievements, histories, traditions, and cultural diversity of Latina, Latino, Latinx, Latine Americans who are the largest racial or ethnic minority in the country. We acknowledge that members of our community may identify with a variety of terms, including Latina, Latino, Latinx, Latine, or other cultural and national identities. In keeping with Hillsboro School District's adopted practice, this proclamation uses Latina, Latino, Latinx, Latine. while honoring and respecting all self-identifications. The Hillsboro School District recognizes that this national observance began in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week under President Lyndon Johnson, and in 1988 was expanded by President Ronald Reagan into a month-long celebration from September 15th to October 15th. We honor the vibrant history and diverse cultures of Oregon's Latina, Latino, Latinx, Latine community as a central part of our state's story and recognize the deep roots of Latina, Latino, Latinx, Latine families in Washington County and Hillsboro. Their contributions in education, agriculture, business, arts, and civic life continue to shape and enrich our community. We also acknowledge that throughout the history of the Hillsboro School District, people of Latina, Latino, Latinx, Latine descent have added to its prosperity and culture. The Board of Directors of the Hillsboro School District do hereby proclaim the month of September 15th, 2025 to October 15th, 2025 be Latina, Latino, Latinx, Latine Heritage Month. We urge all community members to join us in honoring the many contributions and achievements of Latina, Latino, Latinx, Latine Americans to the development and prosperity of our schools and community. We encourage our schools, families, and community partners to uplift histories, cultures, and voices in classrooms, libraries, and activities throughout this month and beyond, recognizing that our collective future is stronger when all identities are celebrated and valued. Hillsboro School District Board of Directors.
Thank you, Director Harding Mercado. Our next agenda item is America's Safe Schools Week proclamation read by Director Thomas.
The Hillsboro School District acknowledges the importance of America's Safe Schools Week in October and remains committed to ensuring that every student feels safe, respected, valued, and in our learning environments. We recognize that fostering belonging, inclusion is essential for students to thrive. The Hillsboro School District understands that educational equity can only flourish in school settings where safety, respect, and emotional well-being are prioritized. We believe that all students have a right to learn in an environment free from fear, harm, or discrimination. The Hillsboro School District encourages schools, families, communities, and organizations to collaborate in creating safe spaces by addressing and preventing bullying, harassment, cyberbullying, and all forms of bias, including racism and hate. The Hillsboro School District is committed to raising awareness and ensuring that all children are protected and supported. The Hillsboro School District believes that it is important to focus public attention on school safety and identify, develop, and promote answers to these critical issues. The Board of Directors of the Hillsboro School District do hereby proclaim the week of October 19th through the 25th, 2025 to be America's Safe School Week. We urge all community members to join us in recognizing that we must work together to make our schools safe, secure, and peaceful places for learning, teaching, and working.
Thank you, Director Thomas. Our last item is the National Principals Month proclamation read by Director Ryan.
The Hillsboro School District recognizes that principals and assistant principals work tirelessly each day as visionaries, assessment experts, community builders, public relations experts, budget analysts, facility managers, special programs administrators, and guardians of various legal, contractual, and policy mandates and initiatives. The Hillsboro School District that principals and assistant principals work collaboratively with both teachers and district staff to develop and maintain high curriculum standards, develop mission statements, and set performance goals and objectives for schools to achieve educational excellence. The Hillsboro School District honors exemplary principals and assistant principals who have succeeded in providing high-quality learning opportunities for students, as well as their outstanding contributions to the profession. The Hillsboro School District celebrates that Principals Month gives an opportunity to honor and recognize the contribution of all school principals and assistant principals to the success of every student in the district. The Board of Directors of the Hillsboro School District do hereby proclaim the month of October 2025 to be National Principals Month. We urge all community members to join us in recognizing the many contributions and achievements of principals and assistant principals to the development of prosperity in our community.
Thank you, Director Ryan. Our next agenda item is the approval of the agenda. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Move that we approve the agenda as printed.
Second.
It has been moved by Director Watson and seconded by Director Thomas to approve the agenda as printed. Is there any discussion? No. Our next agenda item is to approve the consent agenda. Would anyone like to make a motion regarding the consent agenda?
I move that the Board of Directors approve the consent agenda as printed.
Second.
It has been moved by Director Thomas and seconded by Director Watson to approve the consent agenda as printed. Is there any discussion? No. Great. Our next agenda is audience time. Great. So then we'll go ahead and move to our next agenda item, which is the financial report with Chief Financial Officer Scott.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Board. It's been a busy past month for the business office. You've got the full report in front of you, but there's a couple of things I did want to highlight that I think might be of interest in particular. One, I see Jeff's here in the audience. The business services team has really done person's work on the financial audit. We have now at this point completed nearly all of the auditor's requests, and we're just at this point pulling together things for the AFR. There'll be some back and forth with the auditors, but I think we should be on track to have things completed before the end of the year. So really good, lot of long hours by that team, and I really appreciate all the effort that all those employees put in. And the other area that's also equally was very significant for us at the start of the year is, much like many of you, I'm sure in your day jobs, it's the time of year when employees are selecting their benefits. It's also that first payroll. There's lots of complexity with that as people change benefit plans and make adjustments. We had a very, very smooth process this year in doing that, despite lots of changes and a lot of extra work by the employee services team to do that. So I want to appreciate them as well to you. Those are my two highlights. I'm happy though to take any of your questions on any part of the financial report or finances in general.
Any questions for Scott? No? Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next agenda item is the Division 22 Standards for Public Elementary and Secondary Schools 2023-24 Assurance Form Part 1 with Assistant Superintendent Brooke Nova.
And as those are queuing up, just a reminder, in Division 22, every year we bring forth the previous year, so reporting on 24-25 and where we fall in compliance. But we'll also cover tonight a little bit about what Division 22 is. Even though I'm giving a report of the 24-25 school year, we'll also share a little bit about what we're working on for this year, and then a look ahead going into so in that, let's go over what Division 22 is. Okay. So Division 22, it is our compliance report, ensures that every student in Oregon public schools is provided the baseline level of service that meets the standards set by the state. These standards are not only the requirements that districts must adhere to, but they also are monitored in compliance and tied to also state school funding. Okay. Division 22 categories, just something to note is that actually the categories have moved from 4, that's what they used to report on under kind of 4 buckets of rule categories, and now they've shifted to 5. And the reason that they shifted to 5 is there are 57 rules that are organized under these 5 categories that are aligned with the priorities for the student success as identified in the Oregon Reimagined Accountability Framework. So I just wanted to point that out, as some have been following these Division 22 presentations for some time, that now we're moved to those 5 categories. So what that looks like now in practice is you'll see these 5 categories and some of the rules that maybe we have all become familiar with. So diploma requirements, the required instructional time, the substance prevention intervention plan that we present every year. So all of those now follow these 5 categories. If you want more information about these rules that I'm going to be presenting this evening, or to know a little bit more about the categories, those links are active on this presentation, as well as you can go to the ODE website to learn more. Also, after my presentation, we will also be posting our full compliance report, and that is found on our HSD website, both in English and in Spanish. So, Division 22 Standards of Insurance. This report is part of the Division 22 assurance process, which is required by statute. The assurance process is combined local and state accountability model that acknowledges the importance of the local school board, which has the broad-ranging authority under Oregon's local control model, as well as a direct report to ODE. Districts are required to report to the community in a school district board meeting and post the report on the website. Districts must then submit assurances to ODE, which I am doing, and for each rule, the district either certifies that the district is in compliance or states that the district is not compliant or on a corrective action. The Division 22 Standards of the Why. It signals Oregon School District and ODE's joint commitment to providing a high-quality education experience and equitable opportunities for all students in our care. The Division 22 standards articulate the core of the education to be provided to students, but not the ceiling. Compliance with Division 22 Oregon administrative rules ensure the basic level of service across our state. I'm happy to report that for the 24-25 year, we are in full compliance with all 57 rules. And, oh, thank you so much. And now we will move into that report for the 24-25 year. We make our report in the fall for the previous year so that we can report accurately. There are some rules on which we can't say we are fully in compliance until the year is over. For example, that instructional time requirement, we want to make sure we capture every minute before we say that we are in compliance. Okay, so here are some changes to the 24-25. So the first one is, we have seen these before, actually, both of these, the essential skills and then also the essential skills assessment for English language learners. Those are the last year, and currently these are the two requirements that still have been waived. So these have been waived since 2020, and these are currently still waived. So that is not something that we need to report on in that 24-25 year. For district curriculum in these two areas, and we've shared information, I'm going to just expand a little bit on both of these bullets. The first one is a planned K-12 instructional program for social and emotional learning. And the other one that we put into place last year was the 9-12 instructional program for personal finance and higher education career pathway skills, for us known as the 0.5 career credit. So first, just want to give a highlight of the social emotional learning plan that we have in place. For PK6, we have Harmony Cell, and we do that during morning meeting. And then for middle school, through advisory, we used Wayfinder this year, and through Avid. In the past, we've used Character Strong, but we made a shift over to Wayfinder this year. In high school, we dedicate some FTE through High School Success Dollars for developed advisory lessons with that FTE. And then we also meet 5 times a year as a planning team for those lessons. And again, those are delivered in students' advisory time. We also, last year, I took note of this and it was great, is through the integration of our secondary leadership collaboration and our elementary leadership collaboration, we are modeling some of those social emotional learning practices in all of our PDs during that time. And then as a reminder around what we did with the 9-12 personal finance and the 0.5 career credit, our econ standards are throughout our 9th through 11th grade social science classes. We do have that 12th grade standalone personal finance class with the remaining of some 12th grade econ standards. Our 0.5 career credit that we've had for some time, we strengthened the alignment, and that is still in place. Okay. Also in 24-25, the requirement to make sure that all families know about the modified diploma, the extended diploma, and the certificate of attendance on our district website. In the under family section for handbooks and course catalog, you will find that we have information noted for all 3 of those that are accessible not only online but through through each of our school sites as well of those diploma and certificate of attendance options. Also, yearly, you get a report from Jenny Carey on substance use prevention and the intervention plan. And so that continues to take place. She'll be sharing that plan again this spring. We also have the required opioid lessons as well. We send the parent letter home in January, and the lessons take place starting in February. Okay, again, so fully in compliance for the 24-25 year. There is a team that goes over each of those rules, provides evidence for me. So thank you to our team who really helps to put this together to make sure that we are in compliance. I also wanted to note that in our corrective action plan, we have completed that action plan. So this was something that I shared last year. This was specific for instructional materials adoption. This one was specific to our math adoption. So we did complete the adoption. Implementation of materials is different, but we did complete this piece around the math materials adoption process. So that leads me to looking ahead. I just wanted to share some additional information. The first one is that this year, as we know, Fran's done a great job in communication, that we do have a EEAC, Educational Equity Advisory Committee, in place. The members of that committee did not need approval this year from the school board, but that continues. The EEAC meets monthly, and Fran does a great job with that committee. But there was that shift around not needing to approve the members, and so ODE currently is updating their guidance and drafting an OAR to align with that change. The other one is a look ahead is these current bullets right here. So what ODE does are updating definitions and labels for components of OSAS, Oregon State Assessment System, and updated outdated language. So working with our assessment coordinator, he knows of these changes, and now ODE is aligning in that assessment language. This next one, through our human resources team, they have aligned their administrative evaluation tool to the 10 standards. That also now is in alignment with TSPC. So our human resources department has already updated the evaluation and handbook to align to these 10 standards that is noted in this new revised rule around our admin standards. So something to know that I noted about math. So our corrective action plan around the adoption process, we finalized. Just a reminder that we did implement the materials for math 7th through 12th grade. So right now is a look ahead for 25-26. We may be out of compliance next year if we do not implement the elementary materials. And as you know, this would be due to our financial constraints. So our 7th through 12th grade is in place. Our elementary, again, due to financial constraints, we may be out of compliance if we cannot implement those materials this year. One that we will be out of compliance next year is that we will be out of compliance on this rule due to a pause on our science curriculum adoption. Again, due to financial constraints. Of course, if we can implement the elementary math materials, that would be our first priority. And the science then adoption has been paused. So we will be out of compliance on this specific rule next year because of our science, no matter what, which is the adopted instructional materials. And that leads me to comments and questions.
Question. We couldn't be the only ones who can't afford to buy all new materials at this point. And I'm wondering then, do our old materials not qualify? Are we trying to upgrade? I think I've forgotten. So please just remind me of.
Right.
Yes.
So we will keep our amplified science materials, for example. And so what our team does is that we will write on a corrective action plan and submit that next year of the reasons why we're keeping those materials. We submit that to our curriculum point of contact at our state. So even though we will need to report that we're out of compliance, we will work with ODE to notify them the reasons why financially, which you are right. I'm sure any other districts around us are also in the same space. But it's a matter of paperwork and conversation just to notify, here's where we're at, here's our plan, and being in conversation.
Does ODE require us to buy, how often do they require us to buy new? That is.
Every 7 years we're on a curriculum cycle. So, that's what's difficult is when we're in a financial constraint. Of course, we would love to follow that cycle, but we also know that we need to support many other people and things. And so in that, that's that communication process around here's where we're at, here's the reason why, here's our plan, and just to make sure that we keep that up to date. But yes, it's every 7 years.
So when do we get notification that our corrective action plan has been accepted?
Okay. So we are in compliance for 24, 25. That was my report this evening.
Yes.
So then next year we will work with ODE to say, because currently we are actually in our grace period time where we would be doing our science adoption. So then next year we'll submit the paperwork, we'll share, we're not in compliance, we'll create that corrective action plan, we'll write the reasons why, and that will be a part of this process.
And when we report that we're out of compliance to ODE, do we craft the corrective action plan? Do they craft it? Is it a collaborative effort? How does the corrective action plan get created?
Yeah. We submit the document, they review it. We have a collaboration meeting where the curriculum director, so in this case, that would be because of science, there'll be elementary and secondary will come together. We'll have a discussion and then create that plan together. So the first kind of signal to that is notifying them of, we know that we are out of compliance for the 25-26 school year.
That happens next summer.
Yeah. And then we will go through that process and create that plan.
Would ODE like to donate some money for us to buy some?
Well, in advocacy, we all hope for more funding. So I do think that, we will go through a process and hope for more funding, of course, to implement great curriculum and materials for our classroom. Right. Yeah.
So it's every 7 years. And so that means we're working now on the science. We're saying, no, thank you. I get it. It's 7 years, but the timing is not good.
Yeah.
For financial reasons, it's simply not good. So then does the 7-year clock start over again? Or do we have to, it doesn't start again until after we finally adopt another one?
So depending upon it really, we have to put that in our corrective action plan. And then, depending on where we're at, the clock will start. So I do want to know, let's just remember, we're really first hoping for our elementary math piece. So depending on that,
one at a time.
That this year, next year. So the science one is, of course, we would want to start that process, but first and foremost, we want to have our eye on the ball, the elementary math. So, just kind of depending on where we land this year will help to kind of give a little bit more concreteness to the science adoption and process to come.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
No.
Sorry. Beyond the corrective action plan, what are the penalties if we are out of compliance for a longer duration of time than, I don't even know how long the grace period is, but.
I report that to the board. We put that on a community report. So we do have to notify our community that that's where we're at. We continue to be in communication with ODE. That really is the level of maybe what people know of it, but there isn't necessarily like a financial penalty or any thing that connects to that. I think it's just the notification and communication, and that's the importance of that form, is to really note the reasons why. And I think we all do feel like we know that financially we're in constraints. That the Oregon Department of Education also, I think, recognizes that and knows that as well. So as long as we have a justifiable reason, there isn't a penalty to that, as long as we're in good communication with our community and our Oregon Department of Education.
And then are we staggering? I'm sure we're staggering our curriculum adoption so that we're not having to deal with language arts and math and science all in the same 7-year cycle, I would assume.
Yeah, so that is part of that 7-year cycle, is so that they are staggered, because we also know too, of course, we want our educators to feel confident and comfortable with new curriculum and the material before we stack another new curriculum in that scope and sequence. So yes, the 7-year cycle kind of takes that into consideration in that rhythm.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, great question. Great question.
So this is kind of in the spirit of not being any surprises, that next summer we may report that we're out of compliance in 2 areas.
Yes, and that's
Math implementation and science adoption.
yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like it's very important to always just make sure that you're well informed and that
Absolutely.
you know,
Yeah.
like, here's where we're at. That's what, I wanted you to know, hey, in 24, 25, great, we're fully in compliance. Here's what we're doing this year, and a look ahead for that reason. I always want you to be well informed and know that this is where we're headed.
So following that logic, we're on the hamster wheel, the 7-year trajectory, right? And we go around in 7 years. And then there's different points that we enter for all of the different curriculums. What else is coming down the pipe? So in other words, if we know that we're going to be non-compliant on the science, but we're going to then on adoption, but then we're a little late on the implementation on another one, good. What's coming? What's next?
I believe that next it's ELA, English Language Arts. That would be the next one in that cycle.
Okay.
So, what's been wonderful is that I've seen the team though work when we do financially have the funds, they work very hard to make adoptions happen and we can get back on that cycle. I mean, what a great team we have, and the educators that come together to look at those materials. I mean, it's a lot of time and really comprehensive, but they can do it. So when we have funding, getting back on that cycle is almost like a kind of a celebration and the feed that. But when we financially are constrained, we know we need to recognize and pause until we do have the funds to make those things happen.
Last question, I promise.
Is wanting, I think, financially to also do that.
I just want the board also to know that we work very closely with Brooke's team. We look at cash flow. We look at different payments over time. We look at obviously negotiating. And I will say we just shipped like 25 pallets of curriculum to Portland Public. So we do have a print shop. That's also substantial savings sometimes with these vendors. So I do want you to know we, leave no rock unturned to kind of look at what we can also do to help support this, because we realize the impact too in the business office.
Makes sense. Last question, I promise. Curious if you said ELA was the next one. My heart tells me that the ELA curriculum might be a little bit more expensive. So I'm curious if that's actually accurate, or are all of the curriculums just about the same? They're going to be a drop of tens of thousands of dollars and we got no choice.
So the ELA one is slightly more expensive, and sometimes that is part of the supplemental materials that need to be printed. That can come into play. Just kind of also what is chosen by our through the process. There is a document that I can also post it again for our board in our update that shows the investment of how much each of the curriculums have cost over that 10-year cycle, and that has the kind of also that cycle of process that we've done over that span of time, but also the cost of those materials as well. So I'm more than happy to bring that forth again and just make sure that you have that. I think, again, that's part of advocacy to know how much our materials cost. And when we are wanting to make sure that we are best supporting our students and staff for education, this is what we face, and to know how much that we need for those materials to be implemented. So I can put that in the update again.
No, I appreciate the hard work. I know that this is not easy. It's almost maddening that ODE would say, hey, you have to do this every 7 years, whether you have the money or not. And is there something magic about that 7-year period?
I think that is a time where, materials are starting to maybe a little outdated in content, right? And so especially if we think about like the social studies, of course, we want the most relevant materials. But in that, again, that the cost is high. And I do appreciate, though, that there's a very laid out process by Oregon Department of Education. And again, understanding that if we're marking financial constraints, they work with us very well to have that discussion and implement it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the work.
Oh, yes, of course. And I'll make sure I get that in your Friday update.
And thanks for making sure that there's no surprises. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I would say overall, I'm supportive of this approach as a board member, because I remember the presentations about the math curriculum and how robust the adoption process was and the evaluation process was, and how I think
being as careful and diligent as we were in that adoption process, there was broad buy-in from our education partners up across the board. So I think I'm supportive of the idea of continuing to have that strong, robust process, understanding that that may cost a little more. So waiting until we can do it up to our standards, I think that makes sense.
And Brooke, when you provide that update, can you also call out what costs are one-time and what are recurring? Thank you.
Any other questions for Brooke? Great. Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you so much.
Our next agenda item is the first reading of the 2026-27 school calendar with Hannah.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to start by giving us a look back on kind of how we got here. Just want to thank the board for their conceived idea to have the calendar committee, who was tasked with the oversight of drafting and completing this proposal in terms of their work of reviewing data on attendance, equity, and pacing. And so previously we had members from the committee that presented at the board retreat on August 12th. And just a reminder that the committee is made up of about 20 members, and it includes voice from a board director, previously Monique Ward, and classified and licensed staff, administrators, families, and students who collaborated over multiple sessions to draft this calendar. And I also want to thank Director Ryan for participating and being in the next iteration of the work. And then also Nicole and Hazel also have volunteered to be a part of the committee as well for the 27-28. I can't believe I'm saying that calendar. So I also want to thank the work of the board because you had an opportunity to already kind of go through an initial process and to have a presentation by the calendar committee for the 25-26 year that was successfully adopted. So thank you for your work on that. And so tonight, I just want to go over a couple things, just an overview of the 26-27 school calendar proposal. I want to share some core rationale. And then there was also a request at the August 12th retreat about Labor Day and what that looks like. So I'm going to also go over those pieces together. So per the policy ICICA, we are required to approve it by the April board meeting. And so the committee has completed their work for this 26-27 calendar draft and the end of the school at the end of the school year with hopes of bringing forward a draft this fall. And so the next iteration would be coming forward in the 27-28 to have a calendar to look at in late winter of 2026. So it still meets the goal that the board would be able to have a 2-year calendar. But what the committee has found is having the time and energy to focus on each of the prospective years allows them to dig into looking at all of the facets that it takes. And I look to my colleague here, Mary Kay, who is on the committee, just the work and the time and conversations that it takes. So another thing that I wanted to share is the core rationale. And so one of the key pieces that came up through lots of conversation was a boost for attendance and engagement. So September attendance is when we notice that our students are attending regularly. And an early start builds those routines and relationships before the end of October, November, when attendance starts to dip. And so one of the things that the committee decided was to enhance instructional equity. They wanted to create a longer pathway for Q1. And if you look on page 53, that's where you saw back in August, kind of the proposed idea, how former calendars look, and then the change of dates. And so what that does, it allows teachers and staff to have more time to build relationships with students, also to provide feedback and interventions when we hit the end of the quarter on November 19th, just before conferences. And they notice sometimes that when we have our grade prep day and report cards go out and then conferences, and there's a time in between, but sometimes that has an impact also on attendance and keeping students engaged and knowing that they have access and supports in that time and having that information right away to share that information. I think one of the things that we also wanted to do is maintain balance so that the semesters are steady. So there will be 88 days in quarter 1 and 2 and 85 days for quarter 3 and 4 to ensure grading equity, pacing predictability, and compliance with ODE instructional time for Division 22. And then it's really important to have a long-term view when it comes also to inclement weather and makeup days, which supports the post-Juneteenth scheduling stability. In 2027, June 19th falls on a Saturday. And so we typically would be celebrating a holiday on the Friday before, which would be June 18th. So if we are able to end the school year on June 10th, we avoid late June endings and preserve post-Juneteenth summer plan flexibility. I'm going to go into the next section. And so that is the table on page 55. And so there was an ask to look at 10 to 15 years. And so this was a great project. So thank you for that. And I got to really look at when Labor Day was going to be celebrated, the closest Wednesday to that, and then the first Wednesday after Labor Day. And then you can see the key has the post-Labor Day start. So you can see I started with this school year and then worked my way through to 2036. And you can see that we overall have a post-Labor Day start with the calendar committee's goal of wanting to start as close to the beginning of September as possible. That was kind of the reasoning for choosing these conceptual dates. So you can at least see what we may be looking at for those pieces. And just a note around the later school start pushes the end of the school year later, which affects the post-Juneteenth return schedules, similar to the Veterans Day rotation that we have in the calendar. And then proposed school start dates aim to balance attendance, instructional pacing, and semester structure while remaining as close as feasible to early September. So I just give you an overview of all those things. Is there any questions?
Connor, I was, Connor and Beth, wondering, are we going to share this with the parent community after we vote on it? Or because part of what I do recall of the conversation was people wanted to know in advance. They wanted to be able to plan. Parents, teachers, everybody. Okay. So we just went to 2036, and I want to know, are we going to share that with them? So that's some advanced planning, or is that too much for right now?
Well, this packet is public, so everyone has access to all of this information. That's why I chose to kind of put everything together versus having a separate presentation, just to make it ease reading for folks. And I think, right now, what typically happens is we bring the first reading forward, and if there are questions or feedback during this time, at the end of October, we would come back and the board would then determine to adopt the calendar or not. And then we would go through the next steps of the process. So that's what we have typically done.
Can I just want to clarify this one point, because on the table that shows the green bars for post-Labor Day and non-post-Labor Day are in white. Is everybody looking at that same thing that I am, page 55? Yep. At the top of that table, it says potential dates are for planning purposes. Calendars for all years except for 2025, 2026 are conceptual only. So this would be an artifact that future boards could look at and say, you know what, when we had the committee that made the recommendation to focus on September 1st, trying to get closer to September 1st rather than anchoring to pre and post Labor Day conversations, this would be kind of how we would eyeball it to see, how does this look in the next 15 years? How would it play out if we made that decision that we made back in 2025? And so this doesn't commit the board to any action. And it also doesn't give me as a parent the ability to plan my vacations in 2031 or 2032. This should not be published. It is published, but it shouldn't be published as like a recommended calendar planning tool.
Thank you for that, Sean.
Yep.
Connor, thank you so much for all of this information. To Superintendent Ryman's point, this is, not to be used as something that's set in stone, but I do think that it goes a very long way to providing transparency on our decision making to the community, which is
the whole point of having a public packet. So thank you for that. My question is about the table on page 53, the colorful one with the blue, green, yellow.
Yeah.
And you had indicated the rationale for kind of front loading Q1 in terms of the days, and that former calendars, maybe they were, around a week-ish, plus or minus, a difference in days, in school days, and now they're going to be, a bit more significant. So to the calendar committee, in terms of people who are educators, is there sufficient time because I know that part of the point was to get the grades for Q1 at a point in time when it is useful to families to have that for conferences, and have that discussion about whether their student needs, assistance in getting up to speed or making up some kind of deficiency. Do we feel like there's enough time in Q2 for them to make up whatever, they've been lacking in Q1 and do that by the end of the semester?
I think it's something that was a rich conversation with the team in terms of like where to place this date and to have that longer amount of time to build those relationships with students and provide those supports up front. I think, we've not done this before. So it's also assessing as we go through this process, what is working and what do we need to refine, like we always do anytime we implement something new.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know we've been working towards a 2-year calendar adoption. I'm glad some first reading, and we'll get it out early, especially since it's a big change for our community. I know districts around us might be on 2. So the question is, how much more closely aligned with districts nearby is this new calendar that we're proposing for this year? Like we've seen before, we have a lot of employees who live in other districts and have students in other districts, but work here, and they're staggered starts. So are we getting closer aligned to some of our nearby districts?
I think yes. And there are still districts that have not put out their calendars. So we don't know exactly what all of those pieces look like. But I would say that, when I did the data before, it was, most people were the post-Labor Day start. I think sometimes.
But that changed kind of recently, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we did have some people that have pre-Labor Day starts, depending on the number of calendar days that are work calendars for their staff. So as an example, like Beaverton has 193, 194 days. We have 191. And so when you have those differences, they have to look at the calendar differently. So there's a lot of varying factors that make decisions that are a part of that decision-making process for calendars. I do think one of the things that I really appreciate about this calendar is that there was a lot of time and effort that was put into this. And there was folks that actually work in the classrooms, have that they brought forth those conversations about wanting to have a longer runway. So I think, they want to give this an opportunity to see how it is and then maybe do some reassessing if need be. But I also appreciate one thing about Hillsboro School District is sometimes we are kind of the cutting edge of like bringing new ideas. And there was a lot of time spent. I know that I wasn't here during the conversations because Roger Will, our former administrator, led those conversations. But I know there was a lot of research done around the number of days that start the year, those continuous days of instruction are so important for students as they come back from summer. And so there was a real desire to create more days at the
beginning. Right. You may not have been here for that little tiny piece, but I appreciate and thank you for your leadership on this tough issue for as long as you have been doing it. And thank you to everybody on the committee for serving so thoughtfully.
I wanted to say also, I'm excited about a longer Q1 period, having been in the classroom and having to prepare for those conferences. I think our teachers are going to have so much more to share with parents and just richer conversations. Even though grades might not be a conversation, those characteristics of a learner will definitely be a conversation had. And I think that's like the whole point of having those conferences in the beginning of the year is just like, how ready is my child? Like, what are the things that we're starting to notice with those routines, with those structures that we have in place? It's just a great way to start building relationships with families, even if it's not a conversation about grades. It's a conversation about those characteristics of a learner. And it's hard to do that when you only have just short amount of time with them. So I think it's going to be great. Thank you.
I just want to say, for the public who might be watching and may not understand why we are having this robust conversation with regard to a schedule. It is extremely important to our teachers. It's important to our administrators. It's important to our students and their family. And this has been quite the football. This has been quite the game, and you have played it long. And I really, really appreciate you and the entire committee and all the input from the teachers, everybody, because this has been an effort. So I just want the public to understand that this was not done in a bubble or a silo. And we finally think that we've gotten this right. And this is not an easy task. So thank you to everyone.
Thank you for your comments. Any other questions or feedback?
Great.
Right. I will see you next time.
Well, how about if we put it on that 7-year hamster wheel?
Our next agenda item is to appoint Community Curriculum Advisory Committee members. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I move that the Board of Directors appoint the following candidates to 2-year positions, and I apologize if I mispronounce some of the names. Position 2, Cynthia Davidson. Position 4, Robin Brune. Position 6, Joe Everton. Position 9, Bhaskar Roy Barden. Position 10, Kristen Morena. Position 11, Lauren Jones. Position 14, Khalid Abuzaleh. And student position 4, Jason Brooks.
Second.
It has been moved by Director Kim and seconded by Director Watson. Please, let me read this. That the following members be elected for the 2-year position. Position 2, Cynthia Davidson. Position 4, Robin Brune. Position 6, Joe Everton. Position 9, Bhaskar Roy Bardon. Position 10, Kristen Moreno. Position 11, Lauren Jones. Position 14, Khalid Abuzaleh. How do you say it? I'm apologies for that butchering of the last name, sorry. And student position 4, Jason Brooks. Is there any further discussion?
I would like to say to all of the parents who are actually here earlier today and put in their application, we really, really, truly appreciate it. It is very interesting to see the dynamic change. When I first came on the board, this was not the case. And it is such a blessing to have so many volunteers and not enough positions. That is a blessing. We truly appreciate that. So to all of the parents who came and who applied, we thank you, but please don't think that this is the end. There are other opportunities to serve, and we urge you greatly to look into those, and we welcome you to collaborate with us on another level, on another project, because it's always one coming down the pipe. So thank you.
Yes, Patrick.
Yeah, thanks to what Nancy said. I agree completely, as usual, with her. But I want to again reiterate what I said upstairs to the applicants, that I was just very impressed with these wonderful people who are making a difference in our community together already. And so I want to thank them for applying, and wish those who are going to be on the board great success. I know I, as a board member, and I think the rest of my colleagues, pay special attention to the recommendations of the curriculum committee when we have new curriculum. It forms a valuable resource for us as board members. And as Nancy said, to those community members who are not going to be serving on the board this year, we look forward, or on the committee this year, we look forward to all the other ways you're going to serve, because you're all very able and wonderful people.
Great, thank you. Rose, can you call the roll, please?
Jessica Harden-Nakata.
Aye.
Patrick McGuire.
Aye.
Katie Ryan,
Aye.
Nancy Thomas,
Aye.
Mark Watson,
Aye.
Sheehan Kim,
Aye.
Yvette Pantoja.
Aye. Motion carries. Our next agenda item is to nominate members to the OSBA Board of Directors. First, I'd like to direct Director Nancy Thomas for representing Hillsboro School District in the Washington region on the OSBA Board of Directors for the last year. Earlier this evening, we discussed nominations and Director Thomas expressed interest in continuing her work on the OSBA board. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I move that the Board of Directors nominate Nancy Thomas for the OSBA Board of Directors position number 20.
Second. It has been moved by Director Watson and seconded by Director Kim that the Board of Directors nominate Nancy Thomas for the OSBA Board of Directors. Is there any further discussion or comment?
I would also just like to thank Nancy for her service in representing our region and our school district at the state level. I believe this begins a matriculation path that ends up with her being the OSBA president at some point. I look forward to making that motion as well.
Thank you. Rose, can you call the roll, please?
Jessica Harden Mercado,
Aye.
Patrick McGuire,
Aye.
Katie Ryan,
Aye.
Nancy Thomas,
Aye.
Mark Watson,
Aye.
Sheehan Kim,
Aye.
Yvette Pantoja.
Aye. Motion passed. Our next agenda item is to declare surplus equipment and authorize disposal. Saida, is there anything else you'd like to include in that? No? Great. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I move that the Board of Directors declare the listed items as district surplus and authorize the disposal in accordance with district surplus procedures.
I second.
It has been moved by Director Ryan, seconded by Director Thomas, that the Board of Directors declare the listed items as district surplus and authorize the disposal in accordance with district surplus procedures. Is there any further discussion?
I just can't believe we still have a 1994 Ford Ranger in service. So well done getting the most out of our equipment.
There might be a few board members at that auction.
Right. Great. Rose, can you call the roll, please?
Jessica Harden Mercado,
Aye.
Patrick McGuire,
Aye.
Katie Ryan,
Aye.
Nancy Thomas,
Aye.
Mark Watson,
Aye.
Sheehan Kim,
Aye.
Yvette Pantoja.
Aye. Motion carries. Our next agenda item is the first reading of policy. Oh, just kidding. You are correct. I saw that. And I thought it was some. Our next agenda item is to declare surplus equipment and authorize disposal. Saida, is there anything you'd like to add here? No. Thank you. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I move that the Board of Directors declare the listed items as district surplus and authorize the disposal in accordance with the district surplus procedures.
Second.
It has been moved by Director Thomas and seconded by Director Ryan that the Board of Directors declare the listed items as district surplus and authorize the disposal in accordance with district surplus procedures. Is there any further discussion?
Just a sincere thanks to Saida. This is no small feat. And taking care of this district from an operations perspective is not a small job. Thank you.
I doubt that we can go to Pacific Coast shredding, but if there's video of somebody shredding a school bus, I would love to see that.
Rose, can you call the roll, please?
Jessica Harden Mercado,
Aye.
Patrick McGuire,
Aye.
Katie Ryan,
Aye.
Nancy Thomas,
Aye.
Mark Watson,
Aye.
Sheehan Kim,
Aye.
Yvette Pantoja.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Our next agenda item is the first reading of policies. Travis, is there anything you'd like to add here?
Nope, these are policies just on first reading, and those who know the most are listed next to them on the agenda. If you have any questions, thank you.
Any questions? Yes.
I did want to note, after our work session last time, this is the policy, our policy for personal electronic devices is in this batch, just so you all know, because the plan is to have that approved hopefully at the October board meeting. So I did just want to note it's in there for those of you that may have questions about it. because I know we had a lot of comments and sharing at the work session. And I am available by email for any of you.
Thank you, Andrea. Just to read that the policy administration regulations are listed here for the board to review. Please contact the cabinet members listed if you have any questions. And then, which then brings us to HCU and HEA reports. And then you can go.
Good evening, Chair Pantoja, Vice Chair Kim, Superintendent Ryman, fellow board members, and administrative leaders. My name is Mary Kay Babcock. My pronouns are she, her, ea, and I'm a proud music educator of 25 years. 26 years. 25 of those are right here in Hillsboro. And it's an honor to serve, and it's a privilege to serve now my 4th year as president for the Hillsboro Education Association. I visited Brookwood Elementary School yesterday, and I observed first graders during phonics and decoding work sample testing. It was fascinating to see students were asked to show their knowledge of letters, sounds, and words. That's when I heard my favorite quote of the week. "Oh no, I don't remember that word," said this little boy. The word was the, T-H-E. He said, "My mom taught it to me when I was a little kid." A long time ago. This summer, our bargaining impact team concluded bargaining regarding course outcomes. HEA high school members overwhelmingly ratified our memorandum of agreement, allowing these improvements to take effect immediately. I want to thank our course outcomes bargaining team, Sarah Armitage, Robin Anderson, and Kayla Laurie. This memorandum of agreement provides critically needed supports like extended time, workload support, a choice of grading methods, opportunities to provide input on rubrics and course outcomes, quarterly listening sessions, guiding on grading, and much more. These revisions have addressed the very serious concerns our members brought forward to their union. This process allowed educators a real voice in decisions that impact both our working conditions and our students' learning conditions. As educators, to do our very best work for our students, we need the district's support in creating supportive working conditions. That means addressing staffing shortages and safety concerns, protecting prep and duty-free time, ensuring educators have a seat at the table when decisions about our working conditions are made, and providing the time necessary for meaningful training. Above all, collaboration must remain at the heart of the work that we do together. This brings me to the elephant in the room. For many years, there's been an understood principle in our district. When something is added to the educator's plate, something else must come off the educator's plate. This give and take protects our work-life balance. It supports sustainability, and it directly impacts the quality of instruction that our students receive. As Superintendent Ryman begins his 3rd year, I hope that we can agree this principle is needed now more than ever. Here's why. This year, we have fewer educators due to budget-related attrition. We are serving students with less support staff. We are instructing larger or split classes while supporting students with more needs. Meeting these needs doesn't always require new spending. It requires smart choices and protecting what matters most, our people. Educators are navigating a flood of new rollouts. Technology changes, such as moving from Lightspeed to Blockseed, Remind and S'more to Parent Square, and evolving Chromebook policies for students. The Governor's Executive Order 2509, off and away for the day, is going very well. And we don't want to lose the momentum that we have gained with student compliance. Governor Kotek explained the reasoning clearly. Oregon schools should be a place where students find belonging, support, and the joy of learning something new. The research is clear. Cell phone use can create a trifecta of consequences for our young people: mental health issues, safety in schools, and distraction from learning. Educators widely report that this shift is a positive one. Data transition workload. Due to the move from ORSPED to Synergy SE, some case managers face over 60 hours of clerical work. If they have 30 students on their caseload, they need time and support to manage this in addition to supervising and instructing their students. We appreciate that Student Services and Human Resources are taking our concerns seriously and have been working with us to find support. Curriculum changes. High school math educators have noted concerns as they are navigating the new geometry curriculum, as it does not fully meet the needs of our students who are behind grade level or English learners. It takes time for educators to translate or track down a translator to get translation needs met and to plan differentiated instruction. They have also voiced concerns regarding sequencing and pace. They would love to have more time to teach this content. Training overload. Some professional development sessions felt more like read-alongs and required safe schools training videos continue to increase. Could we possibly prioritize the most necessary videos to reduce the overload at the start of the school year? Even simple tasks like reviewing school board policies were felt overwhelming when only given 1 minute to review all the policies. I think we all know how many school board policies there are, so we hope that we could have at least maybe more time to review the outline of what all is there so we know what the expectations are. Rolling out too many initiatives at once without sufficient support or thoughtful sequencing piles on overwhelming workloads right from the start. Precisely when educators need time to assess their students' needs and prepare to launch a successful school year. But despite these challenges, educators are ready to partner, collaborate, and do the hard work. But what we ask in return is balance, thoughtful implementation, and respect for the time and care it takes to teach and support every student. Just like that first grader that I quoted earlier, meeting that moment required careful planning. An educator partnering with a retired HEA member to ensure testing could be done effectively made that happen. Sustainability requires the same kind of intentional choices. With fewer staff and greater student needs, we simply cannot keep adding to our plates without taking something off. Thank you.
Thank you. HCU.
Superintendent Ryman, Chair Pantoja, directors, student representative, staff, and guests in person and online. My name is David Eggleston. I was entrusted to serve as president of Hillsboro Classified United last spring and started a term on July 1, so I'm a newbie. I have a steep learning curve. I'm like that second grader. I'm learning the language. And this evening, I'd like to start off with a little illustration. So this is a model of a Roman arch bridge. It's actually a real model. It's real separate pieces. And this bridge holds together because of all the parts. All the parts. It isn't just the keystone. It's all the parts. And while you could remove maybe a few parts up here, then it wouldn't work as a bridge. And well, in education, you're familiar with ladders and scaffolds and mirrors and windows, right? Well, classified staff are also familiar with ladders and scaffolds and mirrors and windows, and they help us to see clearly ourselves and one another. And our classified staff, over 1,300 of them, support all the work that we've just discussed this evening, helping ensure that the physical facilities, that the paperwork is done, that students are supported, the teachers are supported, that students get transported safely to and from school, that students get fed at school. Many parts, many parts. I'll come back to this in a moment. So I wasn't elected by myself. If I was elected by myself, that would be incredibly frightening. I am honored and humbled to be elected as one of 9 executive board members serving our classified staff. And you'll hear my voice tonight, but over the months to come, you'll hear from perhaps all of these executive board members, Bethany Schaffner at Century, and Kira Hartzell here at the AC, and all over the district and tech services. I think you'll hear from Kira next month. Paola Lopez here at the AC and tech services. Alicia Infante, wellness at Reedville. Tiffany St. Clair King, a bus driver. Carla Brokaw over at Century. Jessica Belanti at Butternut Lad and Imlay. And Manuel Cota. Manuel's at Rosedale, Lenox, Patterson, and Mitter Bridge. And together, we serve the classified staff. That's our role, is to support the staff and on their behalf to represent them with all of you and those of you who are online. One of the mottos of the labor movement is stronger together. And that's something that we say a lot, and we say it with our classified staff. And so to any classified staff listening tonight, we genuinely are stronger together, much like this bridge. And then on behalf of classified staff, a thought I would like to leave you with this evening is that if this Roman arch bridge had several thousand pieces, including classified, licensed, admin, supervisory, technical folk, we have, 18,000 students walking across this bridge made up of all of us. And I believe personally that it takes all of us positioning ourselves in relation to one another so that we're all supported all together, and that by positioning ourselves in relation to one another, that then we can support the students as they cross that bridge. Some of them who grow up and live here their entire lives, for a lifetime for them. And we get to build that bridge together year after year, working together. And so tonight, I believe that not only are classified stronger together, but we're all stronger together, especially facing what's some of the challenges and the barriers, not only to learning, but challenges and barriers to living, right? And so for my part of my agenda is that I will advocate for that kind of collaboration and that working together, and will be modeling for the students that when they look at HSD, whether they're in the second grade or kindergarten or juniors or seniors, they'll see this. And that while they might not appreciate it now, maybe years from now, they'll look back and say, HSD was so solid for me.
Thank you. This brings us now to our student representative time. Nicole? Hello, can you guys hear me? All right. I just wanted to speak a little bit about how excited I am for the school year. I am going into my senior year, and so it is a bit of a hectic time period for me, and it is for all seniors, but I appreciate all that the adults here in the room are doing for our district and that the work they're putting into making sure that our district continues to be successful even through the financial constraints that we are facing and the financial burdens that we may continue to face in the coming years due to whether that be federal funding or any type of funding that we are struggling to receive. I just want to thank all of you guys for being here, the people that are online, the people that are here in person, and to thank all of our board members for being such good listeners and being here for our community and for the Hillsboro School District. Thank you. Which brings us to Superintendent Ryan.
Thank you. Maybe to extend David's metaphor, I want to start by thanking our operations and support staff and our bus drivers and kitchen staff and grounds crews and custodial crews and office managers and secretaries and registrars and our counselors and teachers and specialists and nurses and admin teams and district leaders, families and caregivers and community partners, for everybody who pitched in and made this a really great start to the school year. It took so many hands to put everything together and welcome students back this fall, so thank you very much. I also want to acknowledge that we face obvious challenges when it comes to budget and enrollment, and tonight I want to make a comment briefly on our enrollment data. Board members will get an update on Friday of our enrollment, and it'll go public in October. During budget cuts and staffing last spring, our projections were accurate. Our early estimates are that we are approximately 400 students fewer than we were at this time last year. And we knew that we had a large senior class, and we knew we had a smaller kinder class. So I'm going to give you a couple numbers. Our current senior class this year, students who are currently seniors, is 1,469 students, and our current kinder class is 1,225 students. So if you do that math, like it was last year, our senior class last year was 1,522, and last year our kinders were 1,241. So each year we're graduating a bigger class than we have an incoming kinder class. So you can see that stair step that would take us down and has been taking us down in enrollment each year. Based on this predictable pattern, our projections are remarkably accurate. So Scott and our business office did a good job estimating our budget reductions. Kana and Audria, our HR team, and our principals did well accurately staffing based on enrollment and budget reductions last spring. What are the factors that are contributing to the downturn in enrollment? We know that birth rates are down, not just in Oregon, but across the United States and across the world. We know that we lost 25,000 jobs in Oregon over the last calendar year. We know that we lost 2,500 plus jobs just from Intel locally alone. We also know that there have been big hits to the manufacturing and construction sectors as part of that 25,000 job loss in Oregon. We know our migrant program numbers are down, and we know that immigration is slowing. If there's one bright spot to share, it is that Shannon Lawson, our principal at HOA, reports bigger numbers of homeschoolers registering for a Groner HOA program, which means that our outreach is working. I think it's clear that larger economic forces are impacting our overall enrollment. So one thing I'd encourage us to monitor as leaders in the community is the reinvestment in Intel. It just came out that $5 billion was invested by NVIDIA for co-development of custom data centers and PC products alongside Intel. And that's on top of the $8.9 billion that came from the US government and $2 billion from a firm in Japan. So we'll continue monitoring our enrollment numbers, but it's important the economic context that we're living in Hillsboro, and we need to monitor carefully our enrollment numbers based on what we know is going on with the economy. We will be making updates like we do in your board updates regarding ongoing enrollment numbers in HSD. You can see which schools are up and which are down. I'm going to also continue to inform the board and the community about partner organizations that are facing challenges. Last time we were together, I talked a little bit about CARES Northwest and SARC as community organizations that serve our students. And today I'd like to comment that I met with Olga Acuna and Courtney, who runs our McKinney-Vento program. We met with Executive Director Dorian Russell from Home Plate, and they are in a crisis situation right now. One of the programs they're eliminating is the program that supports recently housed youth in finding employment. They're going to reduce that program, and they're looking at cutting staff across Home Plate, which is an organization that we partner with in serving students who are experiencing housing insecurity or houselessness. I think it's important for us as leaders to understand how our partner organizations are struggling right now and how that affects the students that we serve. A couple of other announcements. We, after collaborating with the Hillsboro Hops, have set our graduation dates and times. Those are posted to our website and to our district calendars, and they'll be posted to your calendars soon. We are also, I encourage you to look at the district calendar and the dates that we list in the board updates for the cultural celebrations we have coming up, including Hispanic Heritage Night next Thursday at South Meadows. There will be all kinds of dance and art and food available. We also are celebrating the launch of our Bond Development Committee. We had our first meeting last Thursday. We had great turnout from community partners and participants in our bond process. We had bilingual interpretation at the meeting, and we'll have a bilingual meeting moving forward. Alongside Chair Pantoja and Director Hardin Mercado, we also have 4 former board members, Erica Lopez, Kim Strelchin, Beth Grazer, and Carolyn Ortman, and also Nicole, a student rep there. And I think that their experience and wisdom in terms of how to run a bond campaign and how to organize a bond program are going to be really valuable to us, as well as the new voices and new perspectives that we've brought to the table. So I'm really convinced we have the right team in place. I want to thank our cabinet group for the preparation for the bond launch and look forward to subsequent meetings of the Bond Development Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Raymond. And we will now move to the board with Director Watson.
I don't think I've ever gone first. I don't think I've ever been in this chair.
Not been at the end.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I didn't plan to mention Intel, but it's interesting that you bring it up. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Intel, likely, because that's who moved me here in the year 2000. And just yesterday or today on OPB, there was an economist talking about the fact that Intel means more to the Oregon economy than any other company means to any other state. That there's no state in the union more dependent on one company than Oregon is dependent on Intel, which is scary in terms of diversification, but it's served us fairly well so far. Thank you to the Tech Services Department. Are the microphones upstairs new? Is that a new thing? Very cool. I did love that. I would love to see us use them more, especially when we have guests in that row that are sometimes hard to hear. So it'd be great for us to get some more use out of that new technology. Thank you so much for introducing that. Great to see our newest board members reading proclamations. Welcome to the fold. That's super fun. I hope you enjoyed that. Next Tuesday, I think it's next Tuesday, 1 week from today, we have the OSBA Regional. Thank you, Nancy, for continuing to represent us on the OSBA board at the state level. And I hope my colleagues can join me at the Northwest Regional ESD headquarters for a discussion about statewide issues and how it impacts our community. And then October 2nd is going to be a big day because also 4 legislators are holding a town hall at Rock Creek. We have our celebration and a student art exhibit, I believe, as well. So hope to see you at as many events as you can manage.
Great. Thank you, Director Watson. Director McGuire?
A few things that are on my radar. I thought our superintendent's comments about enrollment were very interesting, and I appreciate being so well briefed. I know we've seen a lot of news coverage just this year that here in 2025 is the first time that Oregon seniors outnumber children, the recorded history of Oregon. So we're seeing demographic changes on a significant scale. And so I appreciate that as districts and as states and as a country, we have to be thoughtful about how to manage that demographic transition in a way that minimizes any negative impacts on students and young people. And the other thing that I wanted to flag is that those of you who are following state finances may have noticed that because of the changes to federal tax laws passed last year, unless the Oregon State Legislature takes action, generally the Oregon tax law is automatically matched to changes in the federal tax law in areas like rates and deductions. And so analysis shows that if Oregon allows those changes to happen to our state tax code in line with the changes that were made in the recent bill federal law, we would lose about $500 million in our state budget. And so that could be a pretty significant cloud for those of us who are aware of school funding needs. So I know the Oregon legislature, the governor, are looking very closely at that right now and what changes should be made and whether there should be a detachment of certain policies to avoid such a significant loss. So I encourage everyone to keep aware of that. And we have great state legislators who are thoughtful, but we want to be communicating with them and making sure as constituents our voices are heard on that subject. Thank you.
Thank you, Director McGuire. Director Harding-Mercado. My turn.
So yeah, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to read this proclamation. I was like so nervous up there, but also like, you have no idea. It meant so much because of the proclamation I got to read, being that it's about Latina, Latino, Latinx, Latina Heritage Month, and obviously being from the Latina community. It just takes on a whole different meaning to be up there reading it. And so yeah, as I'm thinking of all the ways that we can celebrate this Heritage Month, I'm thinking of just all of our families that are Latino, Latinx, Latina families that have contributed so much to the Hillsboro School District. And now all of their kiddos are in our classrooms. And so, yeah, I just want to urge us all again to find all the many ways that we can listen to stories. And we're now in a time where you can do so many things, attend virtually. I mean, I was appreciating the grito that was done virtual this year. It's still there. You can go watch it. And for those of you that know, it was a completely different meaning this year because of how the grito was done from a female president. So yeah, just feeling really honored and thankful for that opportunity. And I just want to thank everyone else too for all your time and the presentations and representing teachers and classified staff so well, because everything you said I was listening to and just reflecting in my background as an educator and just connecting in so many ways. So thank you.
Thank you. Director Thomas.
Just want to say thank you to staff, and I don't know, that didn't come out right. It's not that you're staff. That's not what I mean. I feel like your partners. I feel like your family. I feel like your colleagues. It's so much more than just that. But I just wanted to say thank you. Everything we do takes an incredible amount of time. It's intentional, and I just deeply appreciate it. In thinking of Latino Heritage Month, I just wanted to let you know that yesterday I was at the Saturday. I was at the Mariachi Festival at the Hillsboro Stadium. It was so awesome. I really enjoyed myself, and I had this picture with this beautiful sugar skull, and she's like 16 feet tall, and I'm standing there with her. It was really awesome. But anyway, did that. And I do want to say thank you to the board for investing your confidence in me to allow me to serve at the state level with the Oregon School Board Association. Looking forward to the position of vice president. And as such, in that position, that will be leading the legislative policy committee, which is very important. Thanks to my partner in crime, Mark Watson, who has taught me a lot and spent a lot of time there going, Nancy, did you get this? No, I didn't. Oh my gosh, get it. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So really looking forward to a great school year for everybody. I shared earlier about the headwinds that are coming our way. And there are lots of headwinds. The main way that many of our families and many of our staff are actually feeding their families is about to come to an end for a lot of people. And they don't even know it's coming. And some of it will be retroactive to July 1. We are still waiting on federal numbers. The state is still waiting on federal numbers. We're still waiting on federal numbers. But there was a person in the meeting today, a beloved colleague of mine, and he talked about hope. And he reminded me that we have been here before, believe it or not. And from him, I remembered there's a historian that I follow, Heather Cock Richardson, and she talked about the fact that these are not unprecedented times. In fact, we've been here before 3 or 4 times in our history. And I walked away from that and I thought that means that we will survive somehow, some way. I look at this board and I look at the people on it. I look at this community, and it takes someone that looks like myself. It takes someone that looks like Jessica. It takes someone that looks like Mark. It takes someone that looks like Seyoon. It takes someone that looks like our superintendent. It takes someone to look like our HEA president. It takes someone to look like all of us to get this done. So find a little hope. Hold on. Face the headwinds, and we're going to be okay.
Thank you, Director Ryan.
Thank you very much. I wanted to echo what Superintendent Ryman said about the first day of school being a very exciting time. I had the opportunity to go to my neighborhood elementary school and see some of the students and their families entering school on the first day, to see the licensed and classified staff members happily welcoming back kids and all of their really heavy little backpacks and taking pictures. It was really fun, given that it's been a few years since my son was in elementary school, and so it was really nice to see some of the more fresh little faces and how happy they were. And it's a great reminder of the work that we do and why we do it. I wanted to tell my fellow board members that I really appreciate all the opportunities that we've had thus far already to collaborate. And the opportunities that I have had to receive support from you. So thank you to everyone who's already been serving on the board, and I'm looking forward to a very productive 4 years together, and also the opportunity to support and mentor our student reps and get to know them in their very exciting senior year of high school. Especially thank you to all of the cabinet for the time that all of you have put it. I think I've probably asked a question of every single one of you thus far, and everyone is so helpful and responsive. So I really appreciate the time that you put to onboard me. And to anyone who is members of the public who are possibly watching, I am very excited to be an active community board member. And so if you have events that community is welcome to attend at your schools, please invite me. I want to hear about the winter carnivals or the family fun nights or whatever is going on that community is allowed to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Kim.
Well, happy new school year. Thank you for all the work that Superintendent Ryman and your team do to keep our district going. And I appreciate the enrollment numbers that Travis Ryman shared earlier. I personally know about a dozen families who have been impacted by layoffs in this last season. And for those families who have had to uproot their children and have to move back or find a new job or whatever it is, my heart truly goes out to all of those families who have been impacted by our local economy. And that brings me to thinking about enrollment and how we can capture families who are leaving our district for one reason or another, who are either choosing homeschool or moving out of the district for one reason or another. I would love if we could brainstorm how we could maybe bolster our HOA community, maybe bolster some of the outreach and the program offerings that we have to really capture at least a fraction of some of the families who would otherwise just leave our district for good. The way we teach our children, I think, is going to continue to evolve. And so I would love to have some more open dialogue as to how we can continue to keep students in our district, and how we can meet some of the demands that our families and our students are facing now. I appreciate our HEA and our HCU partners. Thank you so much for your report. And yeah, we are stronger together. And I hope that even in this upcoming school year, we can continue to build out our partnership. So thank you.
Thank you. I first wanted to say thank you to the cabinet team and all of the work that you do. You truly are the experts of this district, and you guys keep it going to what it is today. And I'm very thankful for all of you and the information you provide to us. Thank you to my fellow board members, my new board members, for the work that you all do for our community. Thank you to our student representatives, and thank you for everyone who was here tonight. And I wanted to say happy new school year, which I'm really excited about. And actually next week on Saturday, HSF is having their 5K5 walk. And if you're able to participate in that, I'll see you there. I will probably be watching, I don't know, but I'll be there to be supportive. And I just wanted to say thank you and good evening. And with that, this meeting is adjourned at 8:36.